This is Cas with Anora, and you're watching the Chat with Chaps live show.
Good evening and welcome to the Chat with Chaps live show. I'm your host, Joe Zampa, and today we've got a fantastic special guest. Guys, over the weeks and months, we've asked you many times, which former Millwall player would you want to have on our live show? And everyone keeps saying Gordon Hill, aka the Merlin, and we've delivered for you. So he's waiting behind the scenes in the green room at the moment. But before we bring Gordon out, just want to say hello to our my co-hosts. First of all, Nick Hart from Upton Millwall. How you doing, Nick? You good?
I'm good, Joe. Yeah, this is exciting. This is one of my heroes from my youth. Fantastic player, youngsters now. We were just talking about how much he might be worth on the current market, and it was a very high number. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Cheers for being with us, Nick. And also Disco Steve. How you doing, Disco? You okay? You're a big fan of Merlin when you're younger, weren't you? You were telling me off there. Oh, I can't hear you, Disco. Jeff, go to you next, Jeff. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm all right. I'll fill in for the bloody numpty. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm a bit like Nick, really. Yeah, I was about 13, 14 when Gordon was playing, and saw some spectacular goals from him. One I will mention later on if I get a chance, because it was just absolutely off the scale. But that's the story further down the line. But yeah, really privileged to be on, to be able to talk to one of my all-time heroes.
Fantastic, brilliant. Disco, can you hear us, Disco? Can't hear you, Disco, no? Can't hear you. Well, Disco's having some technical problems. Disco, you might want to log out and come back in again, see if that works. But listen, let's bring the man in, let's bring the Millwall legend in. Gordon Hill joined Millwall in 1973, 91 caps for Millwall, scoring 22 goals according to Wikipedia. The one and only Gordon Hill, aka Merlin. How you doing, Gordon? You good?
Very well, and lovely to be with you.
Brilliant, fantastic. Good to have you on.
We've had a bit of a time trying to get through, but I think, as I said to you, Joe, somebody stood on the line in the middle of the Atlantic. And it was hard to get them off.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long way to travel, sadly, isn't it? But we got there. We got there at the end, didn't we, Gordon?
Yep, absolutely. Yes, it's great to be on. Great to be on.
Okay, excellent. Gordon, I mean, if we spoke about everything you've done over the years, this would be like a 4 or 5 hour show. So we want to try and keep it quite niche, more to the Millwall. So I know your career really went on and excelled at Man United and, of course, England as well. But for the purpose of this show, we want to kind of focus a bit on the Millwall stuff, a little bit on the Man United stuff, but we'll try and get through most of it. Lots of questions from the fans. Lots of questions have been written in through social media. We've also got, at the moment, over 109 people watching us live who will also have some questions for us right at the very end. If we do have time, we'll try and go through a bit of a quick fire question for you. That's okay? Absolutely. You don't mind answering? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. No problem.
Fantastic. Guys, so are you all with us, guys? You can hear us?
All good.
Yeah. Disco, I can't hear you, mate. I think the volume's gone. Maybe take the headphones off. Okay.
They're brand new, those headphones. He told me today.
He's bought a special pair just for Gordon.
Gordon Hill specials.
You'll have to give that jamboree bag back.
and he's even wearing your shirt there, Gordon, as well. Look, from
I love it. I tell you what, I've been trying to get one of them for years, but I think Millwall are keeping their money.
Yeah,
they would sell, wouldn't they? Those ones, yeah, they're great shirts.
Yeah, I love them.
Disco, you with us? All right, we can't hear you at the moment, Disco. Still can't hear you.
Sign
language. Exactly.
Sign language.
So, Gordon, I want to set the scene here. So, it's 1973. Millwall manager at the time was Benny Fenton. So just take us back. I mean, how did Millwall find you at Southall, and what did Benny Fenton actually say when he signed you? How did he get signed for Millwall?
Well, it's quite funny because I didn't expect the other side of London, and I was playing with my brother at Southall. I mean, I was only 16, I think, at the time, and I was having a crack and having a training session with him, and he left, and they asked me if I would stay and have a few games. Well, I was great. I'd just left QPR as a schoolboy, so I was quite happy. And I said, yeah, as long as I get some decent football, I'll play. So I went out and I trained and I played. I think I went out and just trained. I only went there to train with my brother on a Tuesday and a Thursday night, as you do as an amateur. So
Yeah.
I went out there and then I said, hey, do you want a game? So I said, well, yeah, I don't mind a game, So then I played a game. My brother left, and I stayed there. And must have been about 4 or 5 months. Well, I don't know. I can't recall the time, but all of a sudden, out of the blue, they said, "Oh, by the way, we've got somebody interested." And I said, "Oh, yeah." And they said, "Yeah, Millwall are interested in you." I went, "Millwall are the other side of London." So, and they went, yeah, they're looking at you. I said, who? He said, Dave Phillips. Well, Dave Phillips was a lovely scout in them days. Dave knew everything and everybody all around London, which you have to if you're going to get good players in to one of the clubs, one of the pro clubs in the area, because you think London's loaded with every single amateur club, pro club. So you've got to have the scouts out there. And Dave come and I think my transfer fee, which absolutely astonished me, was absolutely fantastic. It was a bag of bloody balls.
I love it.
A bag of balls, and they said, and there was no sell-on clause. There was none of this, we'll pick him up. It's like, okay, and it was like I met Benny Fenton, and he, very shrewd, but knew the game.
What
Was very conscious. Was conscious of.
What did Benny say to you? Sorry.
Well, he said to me, I only played 1 or 2 reserve games, a trial game in the reserves, which was normal. And first one, and he come up to me afterwards and he said, would you like to sign for us, son? So I said, yeah. He can't really ask how much you're going to get. Like, I think it was 25 quid a week. I thought I'd won the lottery.
Yeah, I bet.
And I think so I go home and I say to me, oh, by the way, Mum, I said, I'm going to sign for Millwall. She said, Millwall? She said, son, where's that? I said, the other side of London. How are you going to get there? How are you going to get there, son? I said, well, I'll get the train to Waterloo, jump off, walk across, and get the train out to, New Cross Gate or New Cross and walk down the road. Oh, will you be all right, son? Don't worry about me, Mum. And then basically I went in, and the people don't understand the football world in London, so to speak, especially at a club like either Millwall or Orient or Charlton. The lower division clubs are very patriotic to themselves. They're very, very, we are Millwall. And I found that when I went there, that they took to you. That, if you produced it, they took to you. And we had fabulous players like, Harry Cripps, Barry Kitchener, Dorning, Brian King coming through as a goalkeeper. The best midfielder I've ever seen, and I thought was Keithy Weller, had left just prior to that and went to Leicester. So I wasn't joining a club that were looking to win titles all the time, but their shall we say their togetherness was absolutely, you was a family, and the results came. You weren't results came and then you put together the family. It was there beforehand, and it had been. And I think Benny Fenton was very shrewd. We had Jack Blackman, who was the physio. Jack was as strong as an ox, even at his age, and he was a physio as well, so to speak. So the camaraderie was all fantastic, you know. And what we tried to do, and I could feel it, and I thought, well, if I can produce something or I can play football, if I don't get anything else, I'll learn the game the hard way, but the tough way, but the right way. And I looked at that, and I saw, you know, I saw, wow. And I went in there, and I think they were a bit hesitant at, you know, at the beginning, like very much piss takers. Unbelievable. You know, you never got away with it. You had to be as sharp as a razor blade, you know. But that's part of being a young pro, being green, and then slowly turning to their colour. So that you know that you understood that, you know, the wind ups and the shall we say the let's see if we can get him, let's see if we can fool him. I mean, I had one at Bournemouth where, because I played tennis and I was a good tennis player, I was playing Harry Cripps in the freaking in the lobby at a Bournemouth hotel with an imaginary racket. What would you do if it went this way or that way? And of course, I get a telephone call from the Bournemouth Standard, which Bournemouth Evening News or whatever they had down there, and it was like, we're doing a program. We hear you play tennis. Do you think we could do it? Of course, gullible me said, yeah, I'll come down. So I went down in the lobby, right, waiting for this reporter. And this reporter, it was one of the lads that had phoned me up. And it was like, this was pre-season, going down there. And all of a sudden, I'm playing tennis in the middle of the foyer. Without a racket, over a sofa. You know, the sofas that they got there. And Harry's going, what would you do if I was like, I'll go that way, Harry? And I go, hold on a minute. Then you finally get twigged. You finally twig on, and then you piss takers, piss off, go on, get out of there, you know? But that's your initiation. That's an initiate. That
was one of the questions, actually, Gordon. One of the fans were asking, is it true? Is it a myth or is it a rumor about the racket and your initiation? So you're saying that was true, then, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that was very true. I mean, the initiations were I mean, the love of the club and what it was all about was Dougie Alder, who's a good friend, and I still keep in touch with Dougie, bless his heart. We got back, we were allowed out. Okay, so everybody went out and came in and Dougie came back, and he was going up the stairs, and a couple of the lads had got into his room, right? And they were this is the truth. They were carrying his bed down the stairs, right, to put it in the foyer. And Dougie came back in. I always remember Dougie came back in and said, going up the stairs, he said, what are you doing, lads? Oh, he said, we got one of the lads' bed. We're taking it down the foyer. Dougie goes, I'll help you. So he's carrying his own bed down to the lobby. And then
2 years as is.
And that went on for 4 or 5 days. You wouldn't believe. And we went to Bournemouth. We did go abroad at one stage to Jersey. How far you can say that was. But, you know, it was the first time flying, so to speak, you know, and we said, blimey, where did Benny sell something to get us the tickets, you know? but when we went out in the field, it was like a completely changed. It was like serious. It was, you couldn't get more serious than Alan Dorney, Barry Kitch, Harry Cripps. You know, Harry was unbelievable. And all the stories that people talk about it, they may be exaggerated, and the Millwall supporters are so good, but that is typical. That is typical Millwall. That and it's never left. People say, "Oh yeah, go to United," and it's a different. You know, of course, it's a step up. I mean, crumbs, that's the pinnacle.
Was there a different changing room as well, Gordon?
Oh, changing rooms. You had to go in and grab your kit, your training kit, before anybody else grabbed it. You know, you got your we call it the old Alan Wickers, the old briefs. You had to get a pair of Alan Wickers before anybody else nicked them. And like you grab hold of them, and you'd always want the one. And Jack used to get all the washing and just throw it on the bed, so to speak. So you got a shirt, and you got the old cotton tracksuit, the old cotton Umbro tracksuits. You know, that it got wet, and it was about 50 pound heavy. But we had so much great time in terms of you know, you go in the changing rooms. I remember Bill Nayland was one of the directors, and what the directors were. Mickey Purser came in as well before the game, and he'd say, you know, good luck, guys. Very slow. Good luck. Thanks, Mr. Purser. Thanks for, you know, like, thanks a lot. And all of a sudden, Bill comes in, and he's come in, and he's gone, and he always goes around everything. He goes, good luck, good luck, good luck. Well, he came in once, and he went, good luck, and his false teeth got stuck. and gospel truth, and he was going gluck, 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 gluck. So all the boys automatically reacted to it and went gluck, 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 gluck. And everybody was rolled up. He went, and he walked out, and he went, you piss taking mob.
Oh, brilliant. And throughout the show, we're going to put loads of pictures up and video stuff.
Look at that.
So that's a lovely picture there.
Shirt.
That is a lovely shirt. We've got that one there. We've got that one, the old blue as well.
That's a lovely. Look at the size of that lion.
Yeah. It's changed a lot. There's another close up there. Look.
Wow. Tell you what, I had some curlers there, didn't I?
Yeah. And also Nick has got some paper cuttings for us as well. So this was some newspaper cuttings from back in the day. This is back on the 26th of January 1973 when Millwall signed you. So Millwall were signing 18-year-old England youth international Gordon Hill from Southall on professional forms. And there's on here again another big signing. Millwall signed Hill, Gordon Hill, the talented young Southall winger signed for Millwall, where Southall manager Tommy Tranter, is that right? Forecast he will make it as a pro.
Yep. Tommy was a Borough Road teacher in the sports department, and he got the Southall situation, and so we had a lot of college guys in there, which threw me out the window because I knew nothing about it. You know, I come from the working class. I'm not a grammar school boy.
Love that. Brilliant.
That's fantastic. That, I mean, it brings back lovely memories, and you know, the players that you played with, and your players that you got on with, and the players that you didn't get on with, but you accepted them. And once you finished training, you know, you got on a train, and I remember big Brian Clark. We signed from I think it was from Cardiff. And we signed him from Cardiff, and bless his heart, he became my best mate. He was a fatherly figure because he used to look after me when we go away. I used to room with him. And you know, he was one of these where your trousers had to be pressed, your tie was on the you know, on the side, and you know, you had to, and it was like, Clarky,
you had standards.
You know, and that was called Clarky. He said, Clarky, you're like a flicking housewife, mate. You know, throw the gear on the floor. So you get out, throw the trousers on the bed. You say, oh, you got to cross. I said, Clarky, are you for real or what? I said, you've got creases on your shirt. Oh, he says, I'll have to get them out. But he was a gentle giant.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, Gordon. I mean, these guys witnessed you playing in the flesh at the old den. I was born in 75, so unfortunately, I was probably 3 months old when you left to go to Man United. So I wasn't around to watch you. But I must say, I really enjoyed doing my research, because I've heard your name mentioned by fans and talk about you, how a great player you were for Millwall. But until I actually done my research and dug into this, I truly understood what they were talking about and how much they loved you and why they loved you. Because in my eyes, when I watched you play and I saw some footage from Millwall, most of the footage I see is all from Man United, because there's not a lot on YouTube from Millwall. But you were, in my eyes, a modern day winger in the old school football, if you like.
Correct.
You know,
Yeah.
how you played football back in those days was very unique compared to how everyone else played it. And I think you were ahead of your years, weren't you?
Well, people used to, and I coach. I'm a professional coach now, and I have a lot of youngsters with me, and they asked me, say, Gordon, we've seen the highlights and everything. You know, can you teach us how to do that? And I'll be perfectly honest with you. I can't teach them what I did on that day.
I get that.
Or what I did to score that goal. It happened because I'd practiced it in the streets with a tennis ball, with a ball that had no bladder in it. And you got it's funny, people say, oh yeah, this. I can't understand today's football where there's not a blade of grass out of place, and yet they look at the grass as though to blame the grass, and they play the ball around, and they look at it if it has a slight little bump, and they've not played on somewhere like go to Exeter where the field is like that, and if it rains, it's muddy down one end and clean up the other, and you go in and the old-fashioned derby where the ball would be played, you put your foot up and it'll go underneath it. That's how bad.
Yeah.
But they look at it. The players now, are grateful. I don't look at it like that anymore. I don't look at it, and I say to him, I tell you what, you don't know you're born. I look at it. I look at the players that used to. I mean, you go for a ball with Harry Cripps. Harry couldn't get the ball, he'd get you. And that's a fact. Kitchie would put you over the stand. But these players now, and even coming through now, and I saw the highlights from the game against Swansea at the weekend, and I saw exactly the same. But the game has changed for what? For what we're looking at, stereotype players. They're today for me, and I sit here and I watch these games, and I've got the TV on at the moment. I'm watching this game, and it's all the same. It's so predicted. There was once a time when we was frowned about the square ball. Don't play a square ball. You play a square ball, you get it cut out, we're in trouble. Every freaking ball I see now is virtually square. They go across the field. There's no give it to that player. I tell you what, he'll show you what to do. People used to say to me, they say, Gordon, we watched it, but when you got the ball, we was on the edge of our seats because we didn't know what was going to happen. And you had it the likes of what's his name, Tony Curry, Frankie Worthington. Yeah. All these players that are coming through, that came through for playing, you'd go up and say, I tell you what, got to watch Frank Worthington because he'll cut you to pieces. May not score, but created so much. Ray Wilkins, you'd say, what, Ray Wilkins, king of the square ball. But I tell you what, when he played a ball, it went to that player. And it was the same as what we had. We had Frankie Saul that could play it with his experience from Tottenham. We had Ray Evans come from Tottenham. We've picked up players that are experienced. And I think what's happening now is that I think clubs now have got to realize where they are, what they're doing, and how they can survive. And the biggest thing I've always said, and I believe in it now, is my philosophy is a guided discovery for all my players. I'll guide you, but you discover. So now, all youth players, and I say to all clubs when I'm out coaching, your best coach should not be at the top. He should be at the bottom because that's the next generation and level that they're going to. And I watch all the academies. I watch the games on the TV. I watch the players coming through. I watch, I watch football all the time. I cannot stand boring football, which I'm watching in the Premiership.
I completely agree that.
I watched the Swansea game, and I watched it very, very intensely. And I tell you what, I like the way they played, but it wasn't the finished article, which was brilliant. But it was. But for me, I tell you what, I said it was a great result. It showed me that centre forwards aren't dead. That defenders can come up and put a good header in, a great header, to get a result.
Yeah, brilliant. Gordon, Disco Steve below you there. Give us a wave, Disco. He's now
Hello,
got
mate.
his mic working, and he's your biggest fan. Him and his mate Jeff beside you, as well as Nick. So it's the first time he said hello to you. He's now got his microphone working. So Disco, get out your system. I know you're desperate to say hello to Gordon, aren't you?
Is it working now? Am I on?
It's working.
Bloody hell. Sorry. What a nightmare. I've got people texting saying your big moment and you blew it. I've got to say, Gordon, I genuinely, the day you signed for Man United, I absolutely cried my eyes out. And I can say the only other time I've cried in my life is when my children were born. So I'm not a baby, as Roy Keane would say. And I could cry right now because I nearly blew my big moment of actually talking.
Bless you.
Oh no! Don't listen. Tell you, you've got a Millwall shirt on that I love, And I'll tell you now, if I hadn't signed for Man United, I'd have been at Millwall till the day I finished playing. I was very happy there. I was very content. The supporters were absolutely fantastic, and we played one game with Don Shanks playing for Luton Town, and I'd gone past Don on the right-hand side at Coldblow Lane, the real ground, the old one.
Yes.
And I went past him 4 or 5 times, and he kept on whacking me. Now, remember, in them days, they could kick you.
Yeah.
They could kick you, and they say, "I didn't mean it, ref." Then they'd send somebody else around and they'd kick you. And I didn't mean it, ref. So you was on their wanted list. So he did that 4 or 5 times. Referee went, all of a sudden, as you come out of the tunnel on the right-hand side, the stand at the old den sloped in the ground. Mm-hmm. And someone had got to get over that and chased Don Shanks to grab hold of him. And he says, "You do that again." And Shanks is running away and the ref's going, hold on, what's happening here? And all of a sudden, he stopped the game and the guy's gone off, jumped over the barrier and the boys hide him. And then all of a sudden, he said, "They're mad. They're freaking mad." Yeah. I said, "Yeah, I know." I said, "You'll be all right in the second half, Shanks." I said, "Because I'm over on the director's side, right?" So the next second half starts, and he goes, and he does it again and again, right? And over that side was a small wall, and so all of a sudden, that was where the benches was, and then all of a sudden he's whacked me 4 or 5 times, and he's jumped over. This other fellas from the other side jumped over, and his arm. Leave him alone. He's looked at the referee and gone, "Ref, what's this all about?" And the referee turned round and said to him, "Well, stop kicking him."
I love that. And what a story.
And so it came from both sides. So,
Gordon, can I quickly ask you as well on that point? For you coming to Millwall to play, was it quite challenging, even being a home player? Was it a challenge to get the fans on your side and a bit intimidating for you as well as such?
Well, I played a reserve game and you had a couple of men and a dog watching, which was great. and then what happened was I only played about two reserve games and I got called into the first team. I think Dougie was on the wing and we got on famously, Dougie and I. It was just a case of okay, whoever wanted that shirt got that shirt. And I was lucky enough to get it. But it wasn't that I was better than Dougie. It's just that Benny Fenton decided to do that. Well, what was the real concern about that in them times was that you got picked on your number. You got a number shirt and you got picked with your team on a Friday. The team sheet went up on the wall and you go, okay, you look at it. Oh, right. Okay, I'm in. And then what happens? I went home and I said, I'm playing tomorrow. My dad's never watched me play. Either Millwall or at Man United. Wow. He didn't watch me play. He didn't watch me.
Why was that? Well, not interested in football or?
No, he was a footballer, but he
Oh,
didn't
right.
want to watch me. He didn't want to watch me play, and
Wow.
and not only at Millwall, but at United. He came to the only game, which was the cup final, where we lost to Southampton, and the next
my
season we beat Millwall, beat Liverpool 2-1. And I go home to my mum afterwards because I'm down there. So I go home to my mum and I said, Dad, why didn't you come to the game? And he turns around and says, I was bad luck for you last time, son.
Wow.
He says, I wasn't going to come. I said, well, I had ticket. I had everything. My mum said, because my dad was called Archie, he said, Archie, you missed a great game. And he said, why is that then? She said, when I got off the bus, all the United supporters, someone had said that I was his mum, Gordon's mum. And they were on their knees going like that. And she was so embarrassed by it. She said, she turned around, she said, and you would have known what I was worth. So that was, and of course, when I made my debut, it was, great. It was like, yes. You always wanted to play on a better ground, a ground where it was enclosed, so that you had a bit of a feeling. And then as it got bigger and bigger, then I went from Southall, and then I went to Millwall, and then I played at Millwall at the Den, and you could hear the roar, and they'd make 20,000 people quite easily a noise, and it was like, yes, I love this. Yes, this is where I belong. Then when I went and played up at Old Trafford, and it wasn't because I didn't want to, it was a case of me going up there. I wasn't worried about being sold, but the bank had told Millwall they got to sell me. It was only, I think, 125 grand, but the bank had given them instructions to sell me. And when I was playing on the Wednesday getting ready for the League Cup down at Exeter, we were playing, I think, Enfield or somewhere like that to get ready. Jago pulls me off at half time. And he turns around and he says to me, he says, I said, well, what have I done? I said, I'm getting ready for the cup. And he said, Gordon, he said, no, he said, I've had to pull you off. He said, we've just accepted a bid from Man United. And I said, well, I still got half a game. And he went, well, no, he says, I'll meet you at Euston tomorrow. I'll give you your x-rays and your boots. He says, and you're on a train to Manchester.
Bloody
and I went, oh, okay. So I went home and I just went, right, I'm going up to Manchester. And then it turned from there. But I'll be honest with you, when I went out for Millwall, I could, if someone had said, no, we're not selling it, I would have been there for as many years as I could possibly play, because I loved it. I loved it.
You look like you loved it.
I loved disco. I loved what I liked about it was because I loved to walk from the ground under the tunnels to Deptford Park, right underneath, and have a good chinwag with the boys going through the streets, and then get into the red grass that they had, and the goalposts that were metal. They were metal goalposts. You bumped into one of them, you was gone. And we'd do our training there. We wouldn't be on the field so much, but we didn't go anywhere else except a couple of miles through the tunnels in Deptford. Yeah. And it was indoors. We went indoors where a swimming pool was covered over with boards. We had to provide and make, and it was so funny. It was so, because one week, I think Jago says, I tell you what, he said, we've got 100-yard world champion runner coming in. We're going to Crystal Palace. Everybody says, you can imagine the voices at Harry Cripson. What the? We going there for? Are we going to the Olympics? We're in the Olympics this week. So we go down there, and this, I forget, Ron Davis, that's it. And of course, all of a sudden, the box has come out at Millwall, a big box. And they said, "Oh, hello, we've got some new gear. Who chawed this? Who's nicked it?" And all of us opened the box up. Holy moly, there's freaking spikes in there. There's running spikes in there. And we're going, and they said, "Get a pair that fits you." Wow, talk about chaotic. We go to the track. We get on the track, but it's Ron Day. He says, "I want you to leave here." Frankie Saul says, "Hey, listen, lads," he said, "I can tell you straight away." He said, "What he likes is style. So when we're running, we don't have to go fast, but just lift your knees up." He said he loves that. He loves that.
He loves
So we go there, right? We go there. And of course, the spikes are about that long. Of course, we're not used to it because we've got studs, right? So we get out there. And we're freaking tripping over ourselves. We're stabbing ourselves in the calves with these spikes. We're running behind players, and all of a sudden you put your spike up there and say, "Oi, you, beep, beep." And all of a sudden, and he says, "Right, we're going to do 10 of these. 10 of these. What? 10 what? Two 20s. 10 220s. Yes, we're doing 4 440s. 4 440s. We're getting ready for the Olympics next year." I'm not kidding you. That day ended. We finished. We were absolutely. I tell you, it was most painful. Jago said, Gordon Jago, bless his heart, God rest his soul. Yeah. He came back to the ground and he went, picked up the box. Everybody put their spikes back in. He picked up this box, turned around, went to the bin, and went, "See ya." And it knew, so we knew that the runners weren't, so but turning out the first game, I think the what I loved was when the lights were on and you could tell you was at a ground miles away from where the 4 lights. You say, "Tell you what light is going." I travelled by train and got there about 20 minutes before kickoff once because the British Rail was struggling. And I had to get there when they go on strike and don't tell you. And all of a sudden, I'm running to the ground and and they're about to go out and warm up. And all of a sudden I get in there and I'm sweating, I'm doing all the bits and pieces, and then get to the gates at the front at the den, and then all of a sudden I go, excuse me, and they go, and the boys there and the supporters were going, "Wait, you should be out there. What are you doing here?" And so it wasn't a case of you got into a certain, you have to be in the ground about 2 or 3 hours before the game. Now, isn't it? Yeah. And it was unfortunate that the trains from Waterloo, from where I was a little bit, not Waterloo, from where it was. I was struggling to get into town, but I went out and I just loved it because when I saw the lights on, I went, "Oh shit, they've started!" And I legged it, and I got in there, and he said, "What happened?" I said, "To train." Okay, he said, "We know about it." Ben, he said, "Right, just get your gear on." And I went out, and it was like the lights, and it was like, wow, just the lights. And people don't realise now because they have them on the side of the buildings. The old floodlights used to say, "Who are you playing?" "Oh, we're playing Bury." How do we get there? Just look for the lights. Follow the lights, and it was just brilliant. And brilliant. So people say I wasn't there long enough to, but it wasn't me that wasn't there long enough. I'd have loved to have been there long enough.
That's good.
But unfortunately, the club took that money and they got other players for it. So,
well, Gordon, that money, I mean, it's reported as 70,000. In today's money, because of UK inflation, it actually works out just over £1 million in today's money. So it's not bad, but even back then, more fans were complaining that it wasn't enough for you.
They stole him. It was daylight robbery.
You're right, Disco. Absolutely spot on. The 70 grand was the initial. 25 grand was when I got an under 23. And 25 grand was when I got a full international cap, which I achieved within 1 year. Wow. So Millwall got out of it about 125,000. But even then, it was like, they just said, "My God, they've stolen him," And it was you don't look at it as something that, you know, I'm going in there for the money. That wasn't even my first thought. A Millwall, £25. And after the first year, Benny put it up to £60, you know, and most of the players are on £70, £80. But I said, oh, that's great. You know, I wasn't worried too much about that. I went to United and I was £125.
Double your money, yeah.
And when I got the first year after I was leading goal scorer for 2-3 seasons at Old Trafford.
Wow.
So I would have said, someone said to me, Gordy, would you have done the same at Millwall? I said, of course I would have. I said, because I score goals. I score one goal. I got a Twitter person called that replied to one of my posts. And he said to me, Gordon, he said, do you remember that time down at the Den? And you might be disco when ball came over, and I remember it. And it came to me, defenders in front of me, just outside the box. He came in, I've lifted it over his head and volleyed it in like a rocket in the back of the net. And he said, do you remember that goal? I said, yeah. He said, good. He said, because I was the defender that you beat. I had to apologise. Brilliant. I had to apologise to him. Yeah, but he just said, wow. And people say to me, and I'll be honest with you, Stevie Brown and all the boys used to say to me, and I thought really that Brian King was going to go, which he did do to Coventry. And I said, listen, I tell you what, like we had a couple of other Goddard and come in and people like that we hadn't come in. But I looked at it and I said, I tell you what, that's a great move because it was a great, fabulous goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Apart from an injury.
Yeah.
Which I can tell you about in a bit. But what happened was he basically went there and it was like, wow, we need to get a keeper now because, you know, Kitch is coming to the end and Harry was already time and he was in cahoots. Him and Dennis Burnett. They were always arguing because they had a paint shop. They had a painting business. And Harry used to go in and take the paint without putting anything in. And Dennis used to come in and he'd go, oi, Harry, what happened to that can of paint? Nothing about the game, just about the can of paint. And, and it was like, hello, look, Starsky and Hutch are having a go again. Look.
Can I ask a question, Joe?
Yeah.
I was just really interested in what Gordon's saying there about, you know, those times listening to you getting the train to work effectively there, Gordon, walking through the streets and you know, and the boys in the squad back then and running a side business. I mean, do you think that players now with the game awash with so much money that they become too removed from the paying public? Because I mean, everything you're telling me is an experience anyone can relate to. You know, you're working men effectively. Whereas now I'm always struck by all clubs. There's so much in many sports, but football's the one we're on. They get off their coach with their headphones on. It's like there's something separate. Do you know what I mean? Right. I think the game's lost some relationship.
It has lost its personal touch. I think to me, I live in Seattle. You know, I don't live around football people. Yeah. Their football is the one they throw. Yeah. But I live here. It's peaceful. It's quiet. Bits and pieces. Yes. Do I miss the game? Yeah. But not at that top level. Mm-hmm. Even they walk through with their Bose headphones and all that, and you know they got their hoods on. What are you covering your head for, sunshine?
They almost got the blinkers on. They Gordon don't want to even look
blinkers.
At them,
They're blinkers. You know, you'd go out, and I go out, and people say, "Gordon, it's nice to talk to you." Why? I said, "Well, these players won't talk to us anymore." I said, "Well, they won't." I said, "Because they're very aloof. They're very, very wanting to be." You know, look at me, and half of them couldn't lace our boots. You know, people say, "Oh, you're just saying that." Well, okay, if I'm just saying it, what do other people? What do other? But the players now, they come in and the bits and I don't know what it is, Nick. But I tell you what, it is something that really hurts me now. the passion and the drive. I'm still developing. I have to work for a living. People think that, oh yeah, I have to work for a living. I'm not these multi-millionaires that go around like, I've got a new car, thanks very much. Look at me. I was lucky to get a bike. So I'm looking around and I'm saying, I think the principles and the basics have really have been missed. I think the players now are, and I checked it out, that the youth players at United are going around in Range Rovers and bits and pieces. They've got these cars, and what fascinated me was the other day was Gary Neville, when it came out, he's driving around in his Bentley. I'd love to play against you, Gary, because I would have turned you inside out, son.
You would have absolutely destroyed him.
Just thinking about that would have absolutely pushed me through.
Brilliant.
But because we have these players, I mean, all I got to say to these players is, guys, don't forget where you come from, and honour the people that stand and watch you and pay your wages. I gave my season tickets up at Man United. I am not paying for that rubbish that I'm looking at. I won't pay. I went through that. You give value for money, but I tell you what, you don't take a liberty. And what I was seeing and what I was witnessing and what I'm seeing now, it's like, okay, fine. Hold on. I'll be with you in a minute. They're gone. They're gone the other way and their headphones are on. And it's like, I think that's the discipline as a manager has to be there. It's like, hey, Sunshines, no headphones. Once you step in the doors at this club, you take those headphones off and you now concentrate on the game, not listening.
There's a power shift, isn't there, Gordon? I think back in the days, even as far as probably the 90s, the managers were in charge, whereas now it's a power shift. The players got the power, aren't they? You see it.
Absolutely, Joe. Absolutely. And I think that is the most frustrating thing that drives me round the bend is where you get people that, to me, or players to me, that are trying to say, look at me, when it's like, just be yourself, son. Just be yourself. And be humble. I used to come off at Old Trafford and I used to go up the tunnel and I used to always put my arms around all the disabled as I went up the tunnel and give them a kiss and go back into and go in the tunnel. Why? I was blessed. I was fortunate. I was very fortunate, lucky boy to have got a break. But I tell you what, when people say that, I work my ass off for it. And people say, oh, on the field, you didn't track back or that. No, I tell you what, when you score 20-odd goals a season, then you can have a go.
Exactly.
Dave Sexton did that to me at Old Trafford and said, I want you to get back and stop 20, but I also want you to get up the field and score 20. Well, if you can get players nowadays that can do that, I'll listen to you. I couldn't. I like Stewie Houston, or it was Brian Brown. Give Illy the ball. Let him do his damage in there. Let's see what they've got to throw at people, Joe. And they didn't.
Well, again, me doing my research, Gordon, I was amazed on, again, seeing more Man United games. I mean, there's a lot of comparisons I felt between you and Ryan Giggs, for example.
Yes.
And Ryan Giggs, when he came on the scene, a lot of the media kept saying, "Oh, he's like George Best, I think they got that wrong in some ways. He was like Gordon Hill, and everything you did is what he did. Yeah, the way he played, the way he sort of tricked
the
to go one way, the swagger. The going outside, try to go one way and go the other way. That's what you did. And when he came on the scene, I didn't know much about you then. Everyone's describing him as George Best, and I really didn't believe that until now.
No. George was completely on his own. George, you wouldn't see George crossing too many balls. No, but you see George dribbling and putting a ball in the back of the net, which would make it phenomenal, because he could do that, and he'd done that masterfully with even Chopper Harris trying to break his legs. And you see these pictures. Incredible. I mean, you go into tackle and people go into tackle and they said, "Oh, he just missed you." Well, they don't realise that if somebody does catch you, you're gone.
Yeah.
Your career is finished. I had a bad knee at 24 years of age.
Wow.
Which stopped me from producing what I wanted to produce. I lost my England place because of my knee.
Wow.
And people said to me, "Oh, well," I said, "Yeah, you don't realise. I went into tackle with Georgie Armstrong, who was playing at Leicester, and your leg is supposed to be do that. My knee went and took it completely. And people said to me, "Oh, yeah, the hardest thing I can ever explain to anybody is trying to come back." I was top of the tree. I was getting ready for the England Euros. I was playing for the big club. I went on tour for England in the summer and leading goal scorer. I come back and I play 2 games into the season for my new club, Derby County, and my knee went
really,
that way
really
and that
on.
way. I looked at everything. That's the only injury I've ever had. A serious injury.
Look at that, Gordon.
And
you're a good company there, aren't you?
Jerry Francis. Jerry and I grew up together at Queen's Park Rangers. I was there at 12 years of age with the likes of Rodney Marsh and Terry Venables, the two robots. There's Don Reevy, and that was an England game. And that was Don Reevy.
What's Don Reevy like, Gordon? What was he like?
He was a very, very much. He knew what he wanted. He knew how he wanted to get it. I think he had a very much Leeds system. He'd play his wingers only when he needed to play the wingers, because I'd sit there on the sidelines and say, "I think we could do with a winger, boss." Because that's the only way. That's the only way I'd get a cap. If I never went on the field, I never got a cap. You'd sit next to Don Reevy, like you'd sit there like that, and Les Cocker, and like on the bench. Need a bit of width, boss.
Need a bit of width. Gordon, he gave you an award there. This was the Shoot. I think it's a Shoot Magazine Player of the Year Awards.
Correct.
Which was like a massive accolade, really. Shoot was quite big back in the day, wasn't it?
Huge.
I wrote a column for Shoot. I used to write with Peter Stewart, who was a great writer, and Don gave me this, and it was the most exciting player by Shoot readers, and that says something about
from the fans.
It's just like having the Young Player of the Year award, because it was, I came second to Peter Barnes, and me and Peter would offer. I can talk. Peter never said a dicky bird, so I'd always say to Peter when I saw him, "Hey Pete, give us a word, will you?"
Now, Gordon, sorry, Joe, can I just ask? Look, I think we'll probably go back to a bit of Millwall, but while we're on England, I think it's appropriate. I always thought in my mind, Gordon, because I was obviously a very biased towards you, but I thought when you played, there was very often times where you seemed to be in great positions, great opportunity, and didn't get the ball. And I'm screaming at the telly, "Give Gordon the ball! What's going on?" Genuinely, and I don't want to cause any friction here, but was there North-South divide? Was there a bit of Man Utd, Liverpool going on?
There were Leeds. It was the Leeds. It was his way. It was his. Right. If you look at the way that Leeds played, they played a certain way. Went up to the front runner, and Eddie Gray or whoever was on the right hand side, Lorimer. They were looking for that type. Where I was the more give it to me and I'll whip it and then I'll cross it and I'll whip it in for something. So I think it's a sign today, Disco, of all the managers that we have and the way that they think themselves, the way they want to play. Don Reevy was completely different. Bobby Robson let me play. It's you do what you want. He says, just create. Nice. And I think that's what's missing. And Joe hit the nail on the head earlier. I think that's what was missing with football is that you play this inverted. Well, that's great, but you keep coming inside, and as a striker, they're going to strike a ball. They're going to hit it. Yeah. So they, instead of playing like with natural left and right, And then at times, me and Stevie did it, where you'd say, right, let's go like that, change, and see what it was like coming inside. Because then the defender would say, oh, my God, they've switched.
What's going
now
on?
We're going inside. Then all of a sudden, and the doc used to say, do it whenever you think possible. So Stevie and I, very rarely did we do it. But when we did it, it was like you're marking somebody, and some of the best defenders in the world were playing at that time. They were looking for you to go down the line. But then all of a sudden, like you'd come inside, and then you'd let one fly. Then you'd come back again, and he's looking inside, and you've got a left winger again.
And also, Gordon, unlike Ryan Giggs, you actually had a right foot as well.
Yes.
I've seen your footage. You hit some good, and normally most left footers are not that great on their right foot.
No.
But you seem to have the ability to strike a ball equally as well as your right foot as your left, didn't you?
I did, Joe, but I would say that I use my right just for standing on a lot of the time. and I'll be honest with you, when it came over, if I had to use my right, I would use my right, but I'd always favour my left.
Yeah.
I could, the reason I could is because I could do damage with my left. What I get frustrated with is these step over, and it's like, blimey, you're going to lose yourself up your own backside. And I saw it again last night when I watched the West Ham game, and I was saying, please, if you're going to do that, then you've got to beat the man. You have to go past the man. You can't keep losing it. And so what I found fascinating was when I got it, I could tell you where I was going, and you still wouldn't get it. Why? Because I knew when you was coming in, I knew when I could touch it again to get me free. So when I was coming at you, I'd go on the inside a little bit. I'd show. Then all of a sudden, you'd make that wrong move. And all of a sudden, I went and I was gone. And I only needed 6 inches.
Was you watching their feet then, Gordon? Was you kind of watching for their move before you made your move?
Yes, I was comfortable with my feet. I knew what my foot was going to do. Yeah. But I knew for a fact that if I didn't see that defender's feet I knew that I was in trouble. But I would never try. I'd never, and the boys will tell you, I never turn my back on defenders. Right, when a ball comes up like they do now on the sidelines, and they turn their back, and it's like dive in, forget about dive. I tell you what. Don't start me on that. That's what I used to do was just go, and it was like you look at all the great teams that are playing, and the great teams that can play move that ball very quickly, very elegantly, but a very fine timeline. Yeah, boom, boom, and you go, whoa, that was magnificent. Where you get a lot of players that go, boom, and you go, he's going to get intercepted. So you're right, Joe. I look at that. What we call that in the game, or what I call it when I'm developing, is third to fourth thought football. Now, that is, if that was explained very simply, it's like I get the ball and you know what I'm going to do. Yeah. I get the ball. I know 4 moves ahead of what I'm going to do.
Brilliant. Love that. Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I'm not looking at that pass that's coming into me. I'm already looking at that ball gone over there, and I'm down there to put the ball in the net.
Wow. Brilliant.
And all the great players that you look at, and I even teach it to the youngsters now. Once you master that first touch, you can do anything you like. Now you've got your thought, and even in the pro world, your thought's too slow. You've got to say, I'm going to play it over there, and this guy's going to come in. I'm going to play it back. I'm going to go in. If he gives it to me, I'm going to hit it. If he don't give it to me, he's missed me out. But that's the way you play the game. That's how I played it.
And I understand it. Again, looking at the footage of you, I saw that, and I've got some footage here. If you don't mind me showing, Gordon.
No.
Very, very rare footage of you playing for Millwall against Crystal Palace.
Yes.
This has been at the old Den. Now, because we could only install a certain amount of footage, it's only about 3 minutes long. So I've caught a look at the first half. But again, we've got 317 people on the live at the moment. You'll see a young Gordon Hill, number 11, on the left-hand side. Now watch what he does with his first touch. literally 5 seconds in, and I don't know if you remember this, Gordon, but again, Gordon talked about being 3 or 4 moves ahead. The first he does is puts the ball through this player's legs and goes around him, right? Now, keep watching. There's also, it's a great corner, and he also has a great bit of skill where the ball comes, so he plays it up, and then I think it's Alder.
Dougie Alder.
Yeah. And you somehow get this ball over to him. Look, I'll let you guys watch it, but just watch for number 11, and you know exactly what I mean. So I'm going to move you over this side, and let's play it.
First today we go off to the Den, one of my favourite grounds for atmosphere, for the derby game, and you can see just how much of a derby game it is as we look out across South London. That's the Crystal Palace Tower through there, just 4 miles away. So it's Millwall then against Crystal Palace. And first let's check on the two teams for this game, which will be refereed by Don Biddle of Bristol. Both Millwall and Crystal Palace played on Friday. Both had won. Benny Fenton is able to name an unchanged Millwall side that had lost only one of its last 7 games. They've moved to a position of safety now. Palace make one change. Ben Anderson comes in at 2 for Paddy Mulligan. They've had a good run too, having lost only 3 of their previous 14 games. Now, who do we look out for today? Well, there's our guest today, Alf Wood, simply because he's already scored 21 goals this season. Millwall's find of the season, Gordon Hill, a sprightly little winger. For Palace, Derek Possey, back on his old stamping ground at the Den. And Jeffrey Johnson, scorer of 2 goals against Fulham the previous day. The crowd really enjoying the sunshine. It's just under 20,000, Millwall's best league gate of the whole season. So Millwall, all in white, get this second division game away. They are attacking the goal to our left against Crystal Palace in their red and blue stripes and blue shorts. Alder now with room for a shot, and that went curling rather dangerously for Crystal Palace across the face of their goal from Doug Alder. Going in bravely there against Harry Cripps, with their great Millwall favourite. Cripps got it through to Alder. Jump is going with Alder, showing a good turn of speed here. And Anderson, and Hammond in a lot of trouble, and Barry finally hooked that one away. Well, Palace very nearly caved in there, and it really would have been all of their own making. And away goes Saul. Anderson again, just failing to get it in. Clark is there. Smethurst on the outside. Looks good for Millwall. And there's a cross, and it's just knocked away again for a corner. So a corner to Millwall. Blythe getting in well there. Gordon Hill with the corner for Millwall. So the goalkeeper was fouled there, and it was as well for Palace that Ben Anderson got a header to that one. And a long shot, well off the mark there though by Derek Smethurst. Former Chelsea player, South African, and scorer of 4 goals this season for Millwall. Wood again for Millwall. Jump is in there. And now here's Cripps. Always a cheer when Harry Cripps gets on the ball for Millwall. Gordon Hill, a nice touch by him, and a good cross there by Alder. Oh, and a beautiful goal, scored by Clark.
Unbelievable.
What a goal, yeah.
How good is that? I mean, how old would you be at the time there, Gordon? How old would you then, would you say?
Got to be 19.
19 years of age, incredible. And did you see that little skill there where he has the ball back to goal? He's got the instinct to then scoop the ball over into the path of Alder. Yeah. And again, at that era of football, you didn't see that happen often. That's what you see in today's football, you know? And in the second half, there were some other moments when, again, you put some great balls over. And, like, honestly, if I could sort of show some more footage, I would do. It's just so mesmerising watching players at that era do that. It's incredible.
Well, it's
I was at that game.
Yeah,
was
it's
you?
fascinating there, Nick, isn't it? I mean, you know, the crowd, 20,000 fans, you know, like they spur you on. The fans are absolutely fantastic. I mean, both Crystal Palace and, you know, but that was a rivalry that was unmatched. Palace and Millwall, and we had so many local derbies, so to speak, that you savoured every single one of them. And I think the biggest things was when you got a result out of it and you played well, and you knew you played well, you know, because then you felt $1 million, and I did, because I just wanted to play. I could have had another game, another game. Give me a day. I'll play tomorrow. I'll play tomorrow.
You see
And
that.
and I love it because looking at the shirts, they were white, simple, straight to the point, and they just bared just the badge.
Yeah.
You knew you was coming. United supporters would come down. Oh shit, we're going to Millwall. You come down you go down the old Kent Road, and you knew you was in trouble. And I
Gordon, do you know we're playing in mother of pearl these days? It's not white anymore. Mother of pearl. There's a story behind that, but we won't go into it right now. But
God, tell me you're not using Daz.
Seeing that old footage, Gordon, there's some crunching tackles that are going in there. I mean, nowadays the referee will be blowing up left. Look at the tackles there.
I saw that a great tackling them, and you don't get them arguing. They go for the ball. They're not going for the man. They're not showing their
studs.
One's
diving, are they?
No one's diving. No one's trying to get a foul. No one goes up and just says, "Oh, he hit me in the back of the head." I mean, I am sick and tired of watching this football because they're all. I call them pansies. If they wouldn't have, they would not have survived. They would not have survived against the
They're too
great
protected now. They're too protected.
But
You can't touch it. Even if you tackle and win the ball, if you catch the player, it's a foul. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, you touch them, it's like okay, he stood on my toe. Look at the freaking boots. Look at the boots. I mean, why'd you wear a yellow pair? First player that wore a pair of boots, I think Alan Ball got one, but Alan Hinton from Derby, white boots. And we said to him, well, I didn't, but we say, why have you outlined your feet so we know what to kick?
It's wonderful.
And you're
rugged defenders.
And the first thing you do is say, right, go for that white bit. And it was like, and of course, Alan, bless his heart, lovely fella, but we call him Billy Dainty because he was like, on the ball. But white boots. Now the boots are the bright yellows,
luminous yellow,
yellow.
I was in Seville on the weekend for my 50th, and I was watching Real Betis, and there was 3 or 4 players. Anthony was out there playing. Anthony,
I saw that game.
Oh my God, he had the brightest yellow boots. It's ridiculous. About 3 or 4 of them had it, and you're right. All you see is their feet. And if you're a winger, you're trying to disguise it. What you're doing, you're making it easy for the defender, aren't you? Surely.
The boots have always, it's been a marketing tool for them. For all the companies, Adidas, Puma, whatever you want to name them.
Money.
It's an ad. I mean, the best boots you got, the best, or all the pro clubs use the same boot because they were the best boot for the player. You cannot beat a leather boot. A leather boot.
And what was your boot back in the day? What did you used to wear?
Adidas 2000. And then when we played Germany in Munich, Adidas give us the brand new, and this is in 78, they give us the brand new boot that was going to be worn in the World Cup in 78 in Argentina, and it was called the World Cup. Adidas.
Oh yes, yeah.
And they had the Adidas logo on the bottom. All they were was really the Adidas. What they were called. They were called the Adidas 2000, and then they reverted and they called it the World Cup boot. The World Cup boot.
Rebranded it,
but they were beautiful boots. And then if you look at, I can name them. You had Puma King.
Yeah,
Nike,
Maradona used to.
Nike's not around. Yeah, Nike wasn't around. You had Adidas, Puma. You had Patrick that were trying to get into the boot market. You had
was Diadora around?
Diadora were. They were just trying to make their way through as well. But the biggest boots were Puma King after Pele and the World Cup in 78. And that boot to this very day has still stayed. If you look at that, they made the rubber stud version of it, which is called the Copa. Which you'll look at all the referees and everything else, they'll wear them because you can't imagine a referee wearing a bright pair of orange boots, could you? Would he get some stick?
Yeah. I was from Lewisham, so I had moulded Gola, if you remember them.
The Gola, the Gola came out with, yeah. And
Jeff, what boots did you wear back in the day?
Adidas 2000.
I
Adidas.
can't remember.
Adidas 2000, me.
Yeah.
Adidas 2, and then I got my 78 World Cup and I wore them. But then they came out with the Nike Tiempo Gold. I gave a pair of my Tiempo Gold boots that I just got from Nike because they were made here in the States. I went over and I gave Jamie Redknapp those boots to wear as a 12, 13-year-old. Wow. I gave him them. He said the boots were identically built. They're all identically built with different stripes on them. And Mitre tried to do the same, but you wore their boots at size 7. And by the time you finished the game, you had a size 10 on. Because the leather had just expanded, stretched and expanded. And if it was wet, you had a major, you was in galoshes. But yeah.
Good, I've got some more some news cuttings that Nick's found for us. So I'm just going to try and bring this up on the screen to sort of bring you back into it. So this is one interesting one. Boland quit smoking and lights up Millwall. And I think a lot of this, if you read it, Mill maintain their improved form. One on draw against Hull. Manager Benny Fenton explained the reasons for the revival, which is lifting away from Division 2 relegation. So he said it all started to brighten up when I brought in kids like Dave Donaldson, Eddie Jones, and Gordon Hill. These lads have done a tremendous job for me, and we have really been playing some wonderful stuff over the last couple of months. Another reason for our improvement is the form of Gordon Boland in midfield. He gave up smoking 2 months ago and is now a different player.
Well, it's funny, isn't it, that they put it down to not being able to play, but these players could play. You had, I think you had other players like Eamon Dunphy that I think, if they did, they did, but it was, you didn't really put that down to them being bad players. Their fitness, Gordon Bollard's fitness was, he was fit, but it somewhere down the line, you've got to say to yourself, was it healthy for them to be able to smoke? And to be honest with you, I don't smoke,
No,
I don't drink and drive either. I spill it.
Yeah. Didn't he have a rocket shot? Didn't Boland have a rocket shot as well?
He had a great shot. It was very slender, very, very lean build. But
big head of hair.
He had bird's nest hair. Two Stalins were nesting in his head. But it's a smashing player.
Here's another one here, Gordon. So another one says, Gordon, this is an interesting one. Gordon's sting of confidence. So Gordon Hill, Millwall's bright, quick little winger, is running right into trouble with his fans and his teammates. The fans expressed their disapproval with cheers in the classic Coblo Lane style when Hill seemed to be suffering from a slight case of, shall we say, overconfidence. And experienced teammates, particularly centre forward Alf Wood, who I'd like to talk about him in a minute, actually, Alf Wood, didn't conceal their irritation when Hill waved his arms in exasperation at a lack of support. And Gordon just turned full circle and galloped off towards the left wing. Wood's action wasn't altogether surprising. We must hope that there are teenage teething troubles. Hill has the speed and the natural gifts to make a mark. His big need now is patience and perhaps just a dash of humility. And it goes on. Mill survived the person. I mean, Alan Murray's mentioned there as well in that game against Fulham. So, did you feel like was there almost like resentment for your overconfidence, how you used to play the game? Did you get that backlash from the fans or your teammates sometimes?
I think that players that have got the flair that will do something will always be like Rodney Marsh was always, flash and all that. Yeah, I did it. It was my own. People have to build up your own confidence. I had to build my own confidence up, and that was my way of doing it, of being confident of doing something that maybe maybe Alfie at the time didn't like, because he was a very down-to-earth centre forward.
He was
But
very old-fashioned centre forward.
old-fashioned, you know. Brian Clark used to say to me, he said, you don't please some of the people. Eamon Dunphy was another one. Why? Because I do things that they didn't want me to do. Well, I wasn't them. But it wasn't that I was overconfident or big-headed at all. It was I had to believe in myself, before I did anything. I had to believe in what I was doing for it to become for working. And I've come under criticism. He doesn't get back. Well, okay, fine. I don't get back. You tell me goal scorers that don't get back. But then, if I wasn't scoring goals, would I have been or taken on? Would I have been selected, or would I have been picked by Benny Fenton? Would I have been looked at by Manchester United?
Would you have got the move for Man United? Exactly that.
Yeah,
would you be
exactly.
picked for England?
You know, they looked at somebody, and then you go up there, and the first thing they do is I had no idea they were going to call me Merlin. None.
When I was going to ask you about that, I mean, obviously that was given to you because of your wizardry, if you like, down the wing at Millwall. But how soon into your Mill career was that name given to you? And do you remember actually when that happened?
I don't, because they just say, like, you'd get a few supporters just say, tell you what, that Merlin did things today, and I think it grew. And grew, and one of the reasons was that's why I named my book Merlin. Was because Millwall gave it to me. It wasn't Man United. It was Millwall, and that was the semi-final after I just put the ball in the back of the net. But I think if you try to say to Paul Gascoigne, don't do that, you'd have killed Paul.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Dan Bowles was beautiful, but you'd be frustrated. Tell me defenders that aren't frustrated with good forwards.
Yeah.
If they're causing problems against you, they'll find some reason to have a crack at you. Oh, you're too confident. But there's no such thing as being too confident in trying to win a game and score goals.
Absolutely.
You know, you say, and that's what frustrates you. And Eamon was very much. Eamon was very much of a midfielder that. If he didn't like something, my goodness, he'd go on TV on Eamon Andrews and on that program he did at 6 and argue with the politicians. You know, so you look at it and say, oh yeah, he's arrogant, he's big-headed, and all that. If that got me where I did, I was quite happy with that.
Confidence.
Do you think, Gordon, that's why you thrived under Tom Doherty at Man United? And of course, when Sexton comes in, he was always trying to take away that kind of freedom you had, and you weren't the same player. Well, you couldn't. How could you be? You know,
it's exactly. I mean, what I found is that he made me sit there, Sexton, and watch a game when Hungary beat England 9-2, and said, "This is what I want you to do."
No, really.
And I was sitting. God. It was just after a training session. I was sweaty. I was muddy. Yeah. And I sat there for half an hour freezing me knackers off.
Yeah.
And he just said to me, he said, look, I want you to see this player. And I went, oh, right.
Tracking back and stuff, yeah.
Tracking back. So I knew what he was then. But then if you look at what he got next, he got Mickey Thomas, lovely fella, Mickey, great fella.
Yeah.
Won't score your goals, but track back all day long.
Yeah. Unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's it's like I said about Robson and Reevy.
Yeah.
Reevy was one. Robson, you say Ipswich. Oh, fabulous. When he went to Newcastle. Oh, great. That's their mentality of saying, I tell you what, I like him as a coach. And it's
express yourself.
It's the managers today.
Yeah.
They've got a certain way they want to do it. They've got a certain way they played. They want it done that way. If it works, you're a hero. If you don't, you're the first one to be replaced. You know, you're hired to be fired. When the chairman says he's backing you, look for another job.
Yeah.
It's true.
And exactly. You know, and it's the game we play. And people don't realise it's a game of results.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
Sorry, there's one more here for you. This is Hill boost Millwall. So Oxford 0, Millwall 3. Do you remember this game at all?
Yeah.
So Mill owed this victory to their brilliant young left winger, Gordon Hill, who scored twice and set up the all-important second goal for Brian Clark.
Brian Clark, yeah.
Yeah, Hill's lively runs often had low league Oxford in trouble, and he deservedly opened the scoring just before half-time. He collected a bad back pass, rounded the goalkeeper, Roy Burton, and despite hitting the post with his first attempt, kept cool to slam in the rebound. Obviously, I could continue, but yeah, again, just incredible, you know.
Class.
Two goals, I think Gordon got in that game.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, Nick. You know, and I would go. I'd look and say, if we can win our home games, and don't forget, we only got 2 points in them days. If I could win my home games, then if we were to get points on the road, that was a bonus.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's not, well, we're going to win everything. We're going to win everything. I mean, as the season started to go, we could know who was going to be challenging.
Yeah.
We knew, and the worst is when you know that you're in relegation fodder.
Yeah.
And you're getting ready to say, "Oh my gosh, you know what's it? You know, we're going to have to play in the second or third division." You know, I was there, but the great I loved it was when Millwall reached the FA Cup final, and who were they playing?
Yeah,
United.
Yeah.
And I was sitting.
Was you there?
I've got Millwall on my left. I've got United on my right, and I'm having to shut my trap. I wanted.
Who do you want to win that game? It must be really hard to choose, wasn't it? I'd imagine.
I tell you what, I just looked and I just said, I'd love an upset. I'd love an upset.
Enjoy the game.
And I said, I tell you what, I sat there as proud as a peacock because I'd performed for both clubs and they both deserved to be there. And it was, I think it was,
very true.
It was just great to be able to look and see the likes of Ferguson. And then it was nice to see what he was putting out there, because I was there when they first got Alex at United working. And then I saw Ray Wilkins and I saw little Ernie Wise, Dennis, Ernie. and basically it was like, it would be nice to see, you know, it was nice to see. And then I just sat there and the supporters were around me and it was, you know, who you're supporting? And it was like, oh, he's supporting us. I went, exactly.
Yeah.
And they said, us, who is it? I said, both sides.
Both sides.
Cristiano
Ronaldo was another level, wasn't he, that day? Yeah. I mean, he was showboating and
absolutely. I mean, you had to deep down inside say, I wish that they could, you know, just sneak it. But no, when you got that much, I'm sorry, but when you got that much quality out there and talent, it's only going to be a matter of time.
Yeah.
You know, we see it. I've seen it. I've played against it. The game that I remember was when Man United were in the second division, and this was just prior to me joining them. And we'd beaten it. We had the away game was at Old Trafford, so we went, and they said we got Man United. They've just come up from they're in the second division. They're top of the division. They're running away with it. They're scoring 3 or 4 goals. And you're saying, and we got to go to Old Trafford, and remember, we went out, run on the field, and there was about 54,000 people in. Holy shit! This is something to play. This is a stage. Now you can either play or you can shrivel.
Yeah,
there's no ifs. And I tell you what, I went, this is my stage. And I did say it, and I went in there and I looked around, and you couldn't hear yourself talk because you had. And it was funny, but I always say this: when you run out at Old Trafford, it's like something it's dream, and like to do it and be honoured, so to speak, or worship. Not worship. I never want to be worshipped. I just want to play. But when I went out there and I saw this and how they were like to their, and
They-
I saw
well, they adored
Millwall
you, didn't they? Yeah.
supporters who were exactly the same, but there was only a small number of them giving everything. And I went out there, and the lad said, "Guys, they're top of the division. They scored X amount of goals. We're struggling. We need to, let's see what we can do." I think they beat us about 4-0, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest with you. It was like the Lions, us, in the arena, in the den.
Yeah. I can imagine.
We were the Christians being fed to the bloody Lions. we had that jersey that Nick, you got on there, mate. The post, you've got that there. You've got that there. That shirt, and you're looking
That disco.
at proud as a peacock, and you're looking at Man United. It was like, at the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, it was like they run past you. "Excuse me, can I have your autograph?"
Yeah.
Oh God.
And you tried your hardest. I mean,
Yeah.
But then what it did, we played them about a month later. We played them at Millwall, and I said, "Right, you're coming. And I tell you what, they closed the Old Kent Road down because there was 4,000 or 5,000 United supporters coming down
lively that night.
Wow.
Mickey Purser come in, and he said to us, and Mickey had a little bit of a lip, so he speak like that. So he came in, bless his heart. I mean, the Volkswagen man was, he had this showroom up the Old Kent Road. And he had the window, the big glass window doors, right? And he'd be there, and all of a sudden he'd come in. He said, "Oi boys," he said, "don't lose tonight." Because I don't want my fucking windows broken.
Oh, brilliant.
Hey, because what happened on the game before that, they broke his big glass windows.
That's the windows
So he's come in complaining. And I tell you what, when I put that shirt on, and I remember this very vividly now, I put that shirt on, I put the boots on, I was sitting there now, and they all come and said, and I went, "There's a team over there, which was the best team, without a shadow of a doubt, because I can tell you that they were bubbling. Yeah. And I turned and I said, and I tell you what, if nothing happens, I'm gonna fucking go at them tonight. I'm gonna have a good game." And you say it, but that's a confidence that I never shouted. I kept inside. I'd go into the bathroom just prior to it, sit, and I'd pump myself up, and I'd sit there, and I tell you what, now do it tonight. No one heard, no one around. I did that to every top game that I went into, because I tell you what, the nerves got me at Wembley in the cup finals. Yeah, I was substituted because I tell you what, I was so tired, because it had made me so tired. I couldn't perform.
Did you over-exert yourself?
Yeah, exactly. People don't realise players can do that. Yeah. Your body, your reactions, your impressions, your bidding. Yeah. But then what happened was, I went out that night, and I always remember they beat us 1-0. Louis got a penalty, and they scored. We were 1-0 down. The ball was played out on that film that you saw, that on the left-hand side. It was at night. Floodlights were on. Sold out. Yeah. Ball was played across the edge of the 6-yard at the penalty box. The 18-yard, played across the edge of the 18-yard. And it's coming this way. And I couldn't tell you how. And as it came over, I came and greeted it on the outside, and I bent it with the outside of my foot right away to the fire. And Alex Stepo was beaten, and it was going in, and it clipped the top of the crossbar and went over. And I tell you what, and I think that was when I said, "I'm here." Yeah. And that was when, after the game, they said, "Wow, you're completely different from when we played before," because they were points and points ahead. But I tell you what, at the end of it,
the mindset, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was a mindset and everything else. But when you play those, you can either raise above it or stay at that level, or not even do that. To be honest with you, and I just, as I said earlier in the program, and always will, they'll always be in my heart. Millwall, they'll never ever. There's only two really. I don't even look at Derby that much because I couldn't perform. QPR, I went there basically because it was coming back to sort out some problems.
Yeah.
The worst thing I've ever had was the knee injury, which I was top of the tree.
Yeah.
I came down from the top of that tree with my knee. It took me 18 months to get back. Jeez. It took me 11 months. The surgeon said to me, this is the worst. At 23, 24 years of age, I sat on the bed at Derby, at the physio bed. It was snowing. I always remember it. And he got hold of my left leg, and he grabbed hold of it, and he lifted it and twisted it. And he said, Gordon, he said, I'm not guarantee you'll ever play top-class football again. At 23, 24.
When you like to think at that point, Gordon, your best years are ahead of you, ain't you?
I was getting ready for Euro. I was getting ready for Euro. I just come off an England trip. I was top scorer in Australia and New Zealand. Bobby Robson said to me, we're all set to play. We were playing Poland in the first European game. I knew it had come down to earth so quickly, because what happened was, when you're playing and you don't think you're never going to get injured, or you can't think that way. What happened was you're there, you're infallible, you're untouchable.
Yeah.
Then this knee injury, and it's one knee, and you can't. I can't turn. I couldn't. The knee was just gone. So
do you feel also, Gordon? Do you feel as much as it was physically? Do you also think mentally it affected you as well,
Joe? That was the biggest, because what you do is, how long is it going to be? Can I recover? Will I play again? How will this happen? And so many little things go through your mind. And then when the surgeon said to me, Gordon, he said, I'll operate tomorrow morning. He said, if you wake up and you've got heavy bandage, it's a cartilage. Okay, which in those days they could have killed. In them days before that would have finished you. But he said to me, "But he said, I'll have a look." He said, "But if you wake up," he said, "and you've got a plaster pot on," he said, "I've done what they call a Macintosh operation, which I've taken a little bit of your left thigh and put it as a piece inside your knee to keep your knee together." And I went,
hell.
And I went, and I was on the bed, and I always remember I was living in Manchester. I drove home in tears, broke my heart in tears, because I was going, my God, I'm 23, 24.
Yeah.
So then what happened was, I then decided, I said, right, I woke up. First thing I wanted to do was feel, I've got the bandage. So that means he's done the cartilage. I got on the physio. I was on the physio with the physio at Derby, and I was 9 months. I was lifting. I was carrying. Tell you, this is the gospel truth. I was carrying Davy Webb, the Chelsea centre half, up and down the stairs for my recuperation and my rehabilitation. I went round the ground at Derby, and it was so quiet because there was nothing there. Nobody was there. I went round the ground, and I never forget this as well. As I went across the top, I heard and I went, and I went straight to the physio. I said, I just heard that. He said, that's the scar tissue cracking up. So I said, well, Gordon, his name was Gordon Guthrie, great physio. What do I do? He said to me, he said, now your work starts. And I was morning and afternoon sitting there. And I tell you what, the players like Charlie George and people like that were going past, how you doing? I said, I'm not ready yet, Charlie. I said, this left knee feels heavy. This left knee feels heavy. And I look, and I kept going back to when I was playing. I kept back when I was at Millwall and when I was at United and how I was performing and how it had happened, why it had happened. And people, you know, you couldn't retire. No way. So what I did is I went and this is very fun. I went to the wine bar and I was drinking wine, and I would drink the wine to forget about the problem that I had with my knee. And then I always remember when I said, all I want to do, I was followed by the press because of who I was, and I wanted to just get a shot of it. And I sat there and I went, Gordy, you're going into training every day. You're going afterwards drinking at the wine bar. You've got to, you got to change this. And I'd be honest with you. I went in the wine bar. He bought me a bottle of wine and I put the top on. I went, take it. You will not see me there again. I said, well done. Again. Yeah. And I never went in, and I don't drink to this very day now.
Good on you. Yeah.
And now I busted my butt. Busted my butt to just play football again. Not. I'd lost my England place. Couldn't. I couldn't.
It must be so hard because, like, literally, like you say, your path was like this, wasn't it?
Yes.
You know, and it's incredible. And with respect, American football, I don't know how good it was back in those days, but if you look at your career as a CV, you can see it's not going the right direction. You've completely gone the other way.
Yes.
It's a shame at 24 years of age, you know.
It's like a ski slope.
Oh God,
Joe,
I can imagine how much it affected you psychologically. Yeah.
And psychologically, I went, and I tell you what, but what it did for me, which I was thankful, it made me thankful about what I am, what I was, what I did, and
absolutely
how I appreciate everything. And I appreciate everything that everybody has done for me and what I do. But I rely on myself to be able to get out of a situation. You know, yes, you get the help, but I tell you what, when that happened, and wow, I just you hear about players and when they, you know, the alcoholics and the gambling. I don't gamble, I don't drink, I don't smoke. I now work out 4 or 5 times a week. I do about 4 miles. I have a titanium knee that I had replaced 4 years ago.
Wow.
I still go out and train with the youngsters. I don't worry about the knee anymore because if it goes, it goes. And all I do now, I get as much excitement about developing my younger players than I do about anything else or watching a game. I go and watch it.
Do you know what, Gordon?
And I still put my arms up when I win it and when I beat the Littons, the 9-year-olds.
That's good. That'll never stop. Gordon, I mean, I must say, to be a footballer itself, be a professional footballer, I think it'd be the dream of every football fan. But that 5-year window that you had, or 6-year Millwall and Man United, you got to look back at that with positivity and say, you know what, I wasn't just a footballer, I was a great footballer. Loved by fans, you know, and sometimes you've got to think glass half full, Gordon, you know, and forget about the second part of your football career. That first part, there's probably a handful of people you can actually think that has achieved what you've achieved. Yeah. And that will live long. And those flashbacks you had going through those injuries will always remain there. And you've got to be so grateful for what you've done and what you achieved and how you made the likes of Disco and Jeff and Nick there, you know, cry when you left Millwall to go to Man United. And I'm sure Man United fans, as they said, they're on the edge of their seats. You achieved that. You did that. And that will never change. That will never change. That happened. And you can't change that. And that's what you've got to think about, the positives that you've done rather than the negatives, you know? And hats off to you. You had a fantastic career.
Well, I can honestly tell you, I come from 11 in my family. It was in a 3-bedroom council house. So I knew what it was like to grow up with big brothers. And I knew it was what to grow up with younger brothers as well. And I was in the middle, and I was one that was always you know, the older brothers, I'm as good as you, I'm as good as you. And so you was brought up and you play in the streets like that. It's a shame that people say that the streets have been reproduced. I'm sorry, the streets have been tarmacked over.
Yeah.
You go to a street now and, you know, you're looking at the players that are coming through, the kids that have got nothing, you know, that's the next level. And, you know, that will never stop. But the game now is to me, the game is gone the opposite way, where you're not relying on people's skill anymore because it's so stereotyped now that you know what this team's going to do and cancel each other out. You know,
it's all manufactured, isn't it? Yeah,
it's all manufactured. And to me, I was out last night with 6 under 9-year-olds, and I couldn't be more happier because they not got a care in the world. They're what I call, and this is what I think pro clubs have got to do. These kids are untouched canvases. They need to be shown exactly what this game is all about. Otherwise, we're just going to go the wrong way. I mean, this is the most I've ever spoken about me and myself, and to the supporters. And you know, I'd love to be able to come to games. And I live here, but I'm going to definitely come to a couple of games before, you know, he calls me.
Yeah, well, make sure you do, and make sure you let us know. I'm sure
you look a long way from that, Gordon. You look fantastic.
I tell you what,
very fit. Yeah,
great.
I have been. I do, as I said, I go to do my own program every week. But I look after my. I think I learned from the injury, to be honest with you. I learned from being injured to saying it can happen at any time. So if I look after my body will look after me, so to speak. And I think everybody does that. I think, you know,
great message.
It's just great. I mean, I watch, and I'm talking about the game. I watch the games. People say, Gordon, you don't go on here a lot. No, I watch. I watch a lot. I've seen a lot. I've seen the young players coming through. I've seen what they're doing, and it's brilliant. I don't see. How can I say? I don't see what we feel. I don't see what we feel. It's a completely different feeling.
Bit more sterile.
Yeah. And it's not being rotten to anybody. It's just my feelings on it. You know, when I'm there, I can't help but, you know, want to get on the field and do it.
And show how it's done. Exactly.
Yeah.
Gordon, go back to, we just want to end that Millwall era now. And then we'll do some Q&As with some fans because they're waiting for us. We've got about 389 people on live at the moment. There was this piece that come up here, which I've got Nick found for us, which was Gordon Jago almost taking credit for your move to America. Now, could you explain how that move to America came about? And how it changed you to then give you the move to Man United? Because he then mentioned here, Gordon Hill, who got the goal against the big Hereford, is a better player for spending the summer in America. That's the view of Millwall boss Gordon Jago, who told me, the reporter, I encouraged him to play in the States because I felt it would help him mature as a player and a person. I think I've been proved right. He has played very well since he's come back and scoring each of our last 3 games and showing a great approach.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with Gordon Jago. We became very good friends, and we only lost him about 3 weeks ago. He passed away, Gordon, and we used to keep in touch with each other. And he would say, "You're the best player that I had." You know, he said. So that was great. What happened was when I was at Millwall and we finished the season, there was a new franchise called Chicago Sting in the North American Soccer League. And he said to me, rather than do your pre-season training, would you like to go and play and get extra games? And I said, absolutely. So I then jumped on a 747 and was in Chicago, And we were and of course you're training at a place, Soldier Field, where there's 100,000 people, but with soccer you got 3 men and a dog. So and you'd have to look around. It's like a coliseum.
Yeah.
And we'd stay there, and it was all in one apartment block. And I had people like Ian Storymore was with us. So we were virtually all in one block, and we trained at Soldier Field, but we went out. We flew all over the place. You couldn't walk anywhere. You would never get there. So you'd play all over the country, and then basically what happened is that it opened my eyes up to what the rest of the world was at a tender age. But what it actually did, it was actually I could play against players and show them, and I was just as talented or good on the AstroTurf because no one had seen it, so to speak, as it was on grass. And so I used that as my pre-season, and then went back. But I ended up in the All-Star team with Pele, and then and I was leading goal scorer right the way through. So, amazing. But that was America in the terms of. But you had people like Pele, Beckenbauer, Naiskins. And so you'd be playing against the world's best, so to speak. Yeah. And that was way before I'd even gone to Millwall. That's to Man United. I was still at Millwall. So the pride is that, you'd see these players, but I wasn't bothered about, how can I say it? I wasn't bothered about who they were. I wanted them to see Gordon Hill.
You were.
I wanted to see who I was.
Confidence.
Yeah.
And I felt comfortable and did it. I felt so comfortable doing it. And then when I went back to Millwall, it was it was lovely because the grass was green, the AstroTurf weren't there. You was back to a routine training, back to your pro world. And I think that helps a lot. And I think Gordon Jago did that because I know that he came across and done exactly the same. But what he did do, he said to me, Gordon, it might just help you, and I went, otherwise you're going to spend the summer doing what?
Yeah.
Come back, busting your butt. But I went there and I came back and I couldn't wait to get back on the field again. And it wasn't that a month-long wait. It was a week's wait and you're playing.
Yeah.
And of course, you're fitter than everyone else, didn't you? I imagine.
Yes, absolutely. I was up there, and that's why people say, well, when you played for England, it was the same. When you went away for a week or 2 weeks on a tour, an England tour, but you come back as fit, you had a week off and then you went back training again.
Yeah.
So, there's a, on the medical side of it, there's a pros for being fit. And they're pros for being rested.
Yeah.
And so it's a very fine line. And of course, with the fixtures that in today's game, hence we're looking at the size of the squads have got to be the size of the competition that they're playing in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So Gordon, with that, unfortunately, the news fell, which loads of kids, teenagers, grown men, cry their eyes when when the offer came in to take you. And I know we kind of touched on this, didn't we, before? But I want to ask you. You mentioned before being pulled off at half time and being told, listen, here's a ticket to Euston. You need to go to Manchester. What was going through your mind at the time? Because
I was on my own. Joe. There's no agents. Like there's no agents like pick you up in a Rolls Royce and away you go and get off at the airport. Which
is how it would be today, wouldn't it? Go to Manchester United now.
It was like, oh, by the way, Joe, you're going to Man City tomorrow, mate. Here's your boot, here's your gear. And there's a ticket, and you're not in first class.
Yeah. Unbelievable, isn't it?
And then away you go. And then I mean, there was one occasion when I just signed for United. I you got a suit and bits and pieces, and I've gone. right? I'm up there, and I've played against, I think it was Southampton or one of the teams. And of course, I've got back on the train, and Millwall, my boys are playing. I would have been playing there, but playing at Bury. Yeah. And what happens is I come back to the station at Piccadilly. They'd come back from Bury to the station. I've got first class ticket, and I'm sitting in the first class thinking I've won the freaking lottery. All of a sudden, out the blue, who do I see coming down the platform? But Jack pushing the baskets with the kit in, getting ready to put in, right? And all the boys are coming down there, getting the first time, I think, the train back to London, right? And then I went, and they looked, and they went, Illy, get out of there. And I went, done. And I went back, and we sat with all of them and the supporters and everything. And I tell you what, and this is the truth. This is exactly, I'm going to show you. It was like, what's it like training? Well, what was that first game? Well, I'm absolutely knackered. Hey, did you buy a new suit? All the way back to London, all the way back to Euston, it was like absolutely hilarious. And the boys, and I tell you what, and it was just great. But I knew then what it was like maybe for Frankie Saul when he played at Tottenham, Ray Evans, he played at Tottenham, what it was like for them to come from that big club to another club, a little bit smaller than them, but still with the same camaraderie. And that's what I was alluding to just a minute ago. And to me, it was like, I tell you what, and I look at it, I go, I wouldn't change that for a while. People say to me, Gordon, you must be worth a fortune now. So I said, no, not really. I said, he said, well, what would you go for today? I said, well, at the prices these people, I said, I don't know. Imagine. I said, I don't know. I said, but I think that if you got Anthony for 90, you wouldn't get me for 120. I said, I tell you what, I said, it's a shame that we don't. I said, because we could have kept Millwall going for another 30 years with the money.
Oh, could you imagine it?
Absolutely. Can you imagine that? Yeah.
I think that's difference now from how Millwall run then to how they run now. I mean, we've sold Roman Esse a year or so ago for a healthy amount to Crystal Palace. Fleming went for a decent amount, Tanganga. And back in those days, we used to give players away for free. Even when Tim Cahill left and went to Everton, it was only for about £2 million, which I think that was a very, very cheap price, wasn't it? So I think if you're around today playing for Millwall at 19, 20, 21 years of age, I think we would have got a nice, healthy profit for you, wouldn't we?
Ooh, not enough.
I tell you what, you'd have commanded over 100. Yeah. You would have commanded over 100. I think basically the ideal thing would have been it has to go with the budget as well. That you have. I mean, when the bank said to Gordon Jago, you've got to get rid of him, or the offer's good, it will. You understood where the money was and where the money had to be and how you had to function as a club. But what the nice thing about it was it managed. It might have managed it for another season or so. Yeah, because I think we're only on a 25 quid a week. Yeah. So like 100 quid a month. I mean, so you got 1,200 quid a year.
Oh God, yeah.
I think 125 grand. Yeah, would have paid for all you got to do is 20 players. That's only 20. That's only 30 grand. You still got 70 grand in the coffers.
That's right.
You try to do that, but then I go to United, and then I go from 125, I go for nearly 300,000. So United made some as well. And then when I went from Derby to QPR, that was 200 and something.
250,000. Yeah.
And then I went from there to States to play. That was another 200 grand with an injury.
Wow.
So it's mad.
No. Gordon, unfortunately, Nick's had to shoot off. He did say bye, but he didn't want to interrupt you while you were talking. I want to go to the fans. Got some questions coming in.
Yes.
So that it's okay. So Hugh said, evening all, looking forward to hearing from my all-time favourite Millwall player tonight. Merlin was electric to watch and sold far too soon and far too cheaply to some northern club, which is what he said. That's from Hughesy. Alex S said, I'm too young to have seen Gordon play. Which current Millwall player would he say is most similar to him? Do you know much about the current crop of Millwall players?
I do, but I don't see. I don't see some.
There isn't
Yeah,
anybody.
there's
No, would you
there
agree,
is
Glenn?
nobody. I think basically
Yeah.
he's got together a group of players to actually go out and play as a team.
Yeah,
You know,
you're right.
yeah. I mean, I watched the game the other day, and unfortunately, it was nice to see a defender come up and score. It was lovely to see. It reminded me of Big Kitchie coming forward and putting the ball in
Yeah.
and put great headers.
Yeah.
You know, would
What's
I
Barry
change
Kitchen
any?
like?
Would I change anything? I think I would like to be more attacking. I'd like to let people know what we've got rather than what they've got.
Yeah, I know what you mean. What was Barry Kitchener like? I mean, we never really got to know
he's
him
fabulous.
as a person or his personality. We saw him as a player, but
Lovely.
what was he like as a
Absolutely,
teammate?
absolutely. A big giant, big gentle giant, Big Kitchie. His brother
Yeah.
used to have a garden stall at Covent Garden. And so any vegetables that came through and anything else, his boot was full of it. You know, carrots,
It's just stuff it in there, didn't he?
flowers. There was nothing that Kitchie couldn't get. And
Brilliant.
I always remember remember the big strike that we had. Everybody was on strike, and you couldn't get petrol.
Yeah.
Right, and then you could, and all the other bits and pieces. Well,
When all the lights were out, was it the lights out?
that's
as well,
it.
The night?
And when and
That was a
then and you only
3-day
could
week,
get
wasn't it?
X amount, and the garages were closing. Well, we had our own petrol station, Kitchie's petrol station.
Oh, brilliant.
And basically, what happens was you had another young player that played who was a guy called Georgie Borg, who played Georgie Borg. He was a good lad, right? But he used to get all the knockoff shirts. So he used to get the shirts that was, I don't know, like you need a shirt, okay, bring it in tomorrow. You need a pair of trousers because it's the docks and all that. It was readily available. So it would say, what size? You know, say, okay, give me a $5. So $5. Ben Sherman shirts.
Yeah, all the designer stuff.
It was like the only place you could get anything. And funny enough, the United player said, "Can you get anything?" I went, "I'll make a phone call for you."
They gave you the line. The famous line for you was it the happiest Londoner living up north?
Yes.
Is that right? They
Yes,
used to call
that's
you.
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Was
That's
it was
right.
it a commentator said it once? I think, didn't he?
Yeah,
kind of
he
caught
said
on.
that. It's when I scored the winning goal at the 2 at Derby against Derby. He just says the happiest Londoner. Well, I was, because I tell you what, like it was, you know, hey, yes, we've made our marks. You know, it's not a player that another known. You know, I was relatively unknown. And what I've done is I've just gone there, and I'm happy because I was happy. I was always happy. I wouldn't let people see that I was down. And that was confidence. That's my own confidence. That wasn't being big-headed. That was me.
No.
That was my own protection.
Yeah, got some other questions here coming through. So my granddad is from Tommy MFC. So my granddad, who passed away a few years back, always said Gordon Hill was one of the best players we ever had.
That's very kind of him. Yeah, Tommy.
Tommy MFC.
Tommy, good.
Yeah, and then Matt Richards says, I think Gordon applied for the Millwall manager's job once or twice. Can you ask him, was he ever interviewed, or what happened with the application?
Never.
Never applied for it?
I did. I applied for it.
Oh, you did apply?
I spoke to the chairman, God rest his soul, John. I spoke to him.
John Bolton.
Wow.
And you know, I was ready to like. I knew what it was. I knew what it was needed. I knew at that time, not now, but I knew what was needed, and I knew what I could do, and I knew what was, you know, what I could do, because the supporters would have trusted you.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the, you know, because I'd have definitely brought flair. I can promise you that.
100%.
And attack.
Well, like you say,
style.
we know what the fans want. They want that excitement. They want that,
Yes.
attacking football, don't they? Absolutely. Another question here from Jeff Chandler. Gordon, do you remember a game against Rotherham? You had your back to goal, put it over the defender's head, and then hit it on the volley from 25 yards.
That's the one he mentioned, I think.
The best goal ever scored at the Den.
Earlier in the program. Yeah. I said that was it, and funny enough, Jeff, if you've written in or you're listening, I actually got an email or a text from the guy that I played against, the defender. So, I remember that. I've scored some, really cracking goals,
some beauties. Yeah.
I
want to hear from Mill Holdings. Can you tell Gordon I saw him play for Southall? It was against Dulwich Hamlet. Still got the programme. Was it in the FA Cup?
Could have been. Yeah. Could have been. Yeah. It most probably was done. We were playing. Southall were in the Athenian League, Premier Division, and it was a great league. Maidenheads and beefs like that teams have gone on to do further and further. But it was I don't know the score on that game, but. Yeah, it was, for me, it was like another game. But Southall was a nice starting point.
Brilliant. Another one here from Big E. Born in 1976, I only learned about you now as I'm honest. Thank you for being so inspirational. And you have a new fan now. Thank you for all your service. Look forward to seeing you back at the Den one day. Stay blessed.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back to the Den.
We all are now.
I'm trying to get back. And you don't know. You just don't know. It's I can't swim it. It's a bit far.
It's a long way.
But I think one of the last times Jeff and I were there, did we see Dougie Alder? Jeff? Was it Dougie Alder we were talking to?
He put on a bit of timber, I think, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, Dougie and I were close. We'd always be talking to each other, and he was lovely, Doug, and we still keep in touch now. We go on our Facebook, which is lovely to talk to. I mean, it's great because he knows as well as I do Billy Neals and all these people, which are fantastic, and of course the old Den where you used to go up the stairs to get to the cafe, and the changing rooms, I always remember it. The walking through, coming out of the tunnels was one of the highlights. Was
brilliant.
Got one here from Phil Clark. He said, "Do you all get your glasses from the same opticians?"
Well, funny enough, I don't normally wear glasses, Phil, because these are reading glasses, mate.
The reading glasses,
the reading glasses, and I got mine from the last referee. So.
Touche.
They're not double. All they are just reading glasses, mate.
Same here.
I've got one here, Gordon. This is from Born Free, Die Free. He said, "Thank you so much, Gordon, for the memories. You were my inspiration as a 10-year-old at New Cross Lad, playing up in Telegraph Hill in my white kit with number 11 on my back. I cried like disco as well when he left."
Oh, bless you, bless you. Absolutely, bless you. I mean, you keep playing, enjoying yourself, and as I say, as long as you're playing, as long as you're out there kicking the ball, I'm happy as a piggy muck.
GC London said, "Evening, lads. It's 3 a.m. here in Thailand. Nice surprise to catch you all on. Thank you to yourself, Gordon." So another one here is, did Gordon spend much time with another ex-Wall, Alex Stepney, at United?
That's a great shout because I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't spend much time with Alex. We were friends. We got on. It was a different age generation gap. Alex had his friends because he'd been up there doing a wonderful job up there. And basically I came and it was two Londoners that said hello, sat down and, had a drink, but we weren't, it was not, go out on a Friday or Saturday night because I lived a long, long way away from him.
Yeah, what you mean.
Well, close.
We've got some questions that have been emailed to us. There's one guy off Hoff So basically, it's a forum, House of Fun, Millwall forum. He's called Weller Was Best. That's not his real name. That's the name that he uses. He says, do you recall the goals you scored? Okay, so we mentioned this about the Rotherham and Sheffield United, both were volleys and worldies, two of the best goals I've ever seen at the Den. He wanted to ask, do you remember your first ever goal for Millwall? He thinks it was Notts County away.
Oh, I tell you what, that is something I couldn't go back over.
Would you know, Jeff or Disco, maybe?
No, I'll be honest. Sadly, no.
I mean, Rother, I mean,
no. Put it in the chat. Jeff Chandler or someone like that might know.
If you know, I done some research earlier. Again, you tell me if I'm right or wrong here, Gordon. I think your first senior goal for Millwall came on the 10th of November 1973 at the Den, where you scored a second goal in a 2-0 win over Cardiff, and Alf Wood got the first goal. He got it on 60 minutes. You got it on 67. Does that seem about right to you?
Well, to be honest with you, the result, I wouldn't have known about the result. But I mean, it's
a long time ago, isn't it?
Come on, Gordon. It's only 1973. You must.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, I was going. Hold on, in the old brain. I can't remember that one.
No problem.
All I know is it was counted.
Yeah. Another question is, what did you think of Trevor Lee and Phil Walker when they joined the club? Did you think they would go all the way like you did, coming from non-league?
I thought that when they both come in, and bless their hearts, because remember it was two black kids that were coming into Millwall, and so we made them feel as a home as much as possible. I mean, and Trevor was the one with the big afro, and Phil was the one with us, and they were both ever so nice, and I think it was nice for them to come and show what they could do because they'd been picked up from local clubs. And but I think the hospitality that we showed them, or the boys showed them, was second to none. You know, and it was just a case of saying, right, okay, you're here. They were more worried about their performances.
Right?
Are they capable of? It's not nothing else. It was, are you capable of playing with some of these players?
Yeah.
And can you take the pick that some of these players are going to hand out?
Yeah.
Which you discovered when you were young, when you joined, didn't you? You know?
I like.
Regardless of skin color, it was just about the banter.
That's exactly what it was.
They did with bells on. Yeah.
You've got to be a thick-skinned, because I tell you what, you will get stuff that you will not. And we said that, you know, when you go out there, you're going to have a target on your back.
Yeah. I wonder, Gordon, if that's a Millwall thing. I mean, I'm sure it happens in a lot of clubs, but hearing what you say about the change room back in the day, and then going through the ages, you know, people in the 80s, the Les Briley's, Terry Hurlock, Cascarino, they talk about their dressing room being that way inclined. Then you look at the 90s, like the Mick McCarthy, and again, that crop of players, the same thing. Then you look at early 2000s and the young crop coming through with Rhino, Paul Eiffel, Neil Harris, and they always talk about their change room being different than any other change room they've ever been in before. And then more recently, you got George Saville and those servants who talk about their changing room. And I don't know if it's a Millwall thing. It's quite unique to Millwall that you had this changing room where it's kind of like us against them. That mentality, you know. I think because I think that all boils down to, number one, I think it all boils down to there being so many clubs around that all clubs are trying to establish their own identity,
pack.
almost.
Identity.
Their pack, their feel, their temperamental ways, this is what we are. This is what you've got to come into. We're not going to change, so to speak, not in a rough way, but they're going to say, listen, you'll learn some of the rules and regulations that go on in the club. You can either accept them and say, right, great, happy, but otherwise, you know, you'll be isolated. And all clubs have that. All clubs have isolated players. We've seen it even at United, and they're all isolated. I think, you know, once you've been there, we're steeped in tradition.
Yeah.
Millwall are steeped in tradition. We always have been. you can't go in and change that. That's that. Millwall is an institution now.
That's right.
And it's not a club that will give up lightly. You will never see the red flag flying on there.
Yeah, love that. Love that, Gordon.
It's unique, isn't it? It is unique.
It is unique, and whatever it is, my grandgirls. I've got 2 little granddaughters, and they've all got Millwall sweatshirts, and they train.
Have they really?
Brilliant.
Oh wow, amazing.
Yep, they train with it. Yep, and I've
teach them while they're young.
And I have no photos around my house of my football.
Really?
I've got a little.
Why is that?
Cupboard. I've done it, but I don't want to. I don't want to keep looking at it.
Right. Okay.
I've done it. They come in and they go up and say, "Hey, Granddad, look at this," and I say, "Yeah." I say, "Granddad, when was this?" And so I say, "Well, this was it." Oh, okay, fine. Granddad, why don't you put it at? Why don't you? No, I don't. It doesn't. I'm not like that. I go out to schools, and I take some of my trophies that I got on the way through, and I go out to the schools and I speak to the kids, and I sit down and I talk to the kids about being what it's like being a player, what it's like being a Man United, because Man United stands out, but also Millwall stands out as well. And they say, what was it like at these clubs? And I tell them, and I sit there, and I always sit on the floor with them. I don't sit above them. I always sit on the eye level with them, all the same level. And these are underprivileged kids. These are kids that need loving, and I got a big envelope full of replies from one school I did in Clearwater in Florida that just thank you for coming.
Wow, how lovely is that?
And
it's touching,
that
priceless.
Is priceless. That is priceless. That I've got the medals, you know. I've got the medals. Great.
You've been there, done it all. Yeah,
I've been there. Yeah. What I do now is I look at it and I look at it and I look at it and I go, I tell you what, and it's nice. I look at my book. I only look at my book because I can see pictures of my mum and dad, and I look at it and they say, "Go on, you know, what if?" I said, "Well, what if is a big if, a big if." I said when I'm done and gone. I said I was a done player, done it, been there, seen it, got the T-shirt from the top to the bottom.
That's right.
And I know what it's like when you haven't got anything and you've got something that tells you you're done. What are you gonna do? It shows, and a bit of the Millwall spirit come out when I got injured because I wanted to show people what I was going to do.
Yeah. That tough skin. That tough skin come back in, didn't it, again? Yeah.
It comes back in, and funny enough, I can remember a lot of the goals I scored. I can remember, but the ones that haunt me are the ones I missed.
It's funny that, isn't it? Yeah.
The ones the simple ones, the ones you said, I mean, God, what did you do there?
Yeah.
You know, like, and people say, oh yeah, the ones you score, you say that they're in the bank.
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously you remember the really, really special goals that people say. I
bet they're still reliving in your head, don't they? Those ones.
How did you do it?
Yeah.
I can't tell you.
Well, Gordon, on that, and I think most Millwall fans watching this at the moment would say one of our big problems is we don't score enough goals as a team. And a lot of our fans were at the Palace game recently, and in the warm-up before the game, Joe was there. Sorry, Joe, you were there. And they were practicing shots before the game. Gordon, they couldn't hit a barn door. They were hitting them all the way to Beckenham, let alone
this is the warm-up, Gordon. This is just the warm-up.
I saw the highlights of the Palace game as well, and I tell you what, you got away with it when the guy pulled his shirt. That was but then the game in the Premiership, they got it, and they got 5 minutes of delay by VAR. But you guys, you should have been punished then. But
you're talking about Swansea at the weekend.
Swansea. Sorry. Yeah.
Do you reckon he pulled him back?
Sorry.
Jeff reckons he dived.
I didn't know. He pulled it.
He dived.
You see the arm.
But
He
no,
might have a bit of both.
You
Yeah.
have a
He
look at
called
it.
him and he
That's
went
the
as well, didn't he?
inconsistencies.
You have a
But
look at it.
Going back,
Yeah.
no, you're right. Going back to the shooting, genuinely,
Yeah.
what advice would you give people? Because you had a shot and a half on you. What did you just hit the target? Did you have a technique? What did you do?
I think basically now I've seen these games, you know, and at the moment Chelsea's playing, and I tell you what, like I can't even watch this football because it's driving me around the bend, because it's all dribble now, lose it, fall over when you don't get tackled, or when you get tackled. VAR taking 10 minutes to decide whether or not that was a foul. You got 3 men and a goalkeeper, 3 men and a TV. If they can't sort out a problem that's on the field, the reason we're talking like this is because we're discussing. Was it? Yes. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. That stays like that until your next game. But not in what's happening now. It's like highlighted. VAR's this, and I don't like VAR. I think VAR is a waste of freaking time.
Awful.
Let the 3 men and the TV sign it. He goes over, looks at it, and makes a decision. Live with it. Otherwise, what's going to happen? To me, the game is becoming sterile. The game is coming. There's no inventiveness anymore. It's becoming square. It's becoming ticky-tacky type of thing, which I'm not interested in. I want to see players that can set places alight. I want to see. But people say, "Oh yeah, but that's not it." Well, look at it now. It's so stereotyped. A to B to B to C to C. You know, oh my God, this goal. But we've just talked about it in this great program. How are you judged at the end of the day? Results.
Yeah,
very true.
And I'm going to ask a question for everybody. What's the name of the game? The name of the game is to put the ball in the back of the net more times than the opposition.
That's right. It's very, very simple, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a simple game complicated by coaches.
Yeah.
And the problem being is if you say, well, I tell you what, he's a great striker. Well, great striker? He's hit the freaking, he put it in the water 4 times. How can he be a great striker? Go to Fulham. I tell you what, go to Fulham. They don't have players on the sidelines. They have boats in the water waiting for you to shoot in the Thames.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, the game. It's like me. I'm not an advocate on foreign managers. Never will be. I don't like Portuguese football. I don't like Spanish football. I don't like Turkish football. I like my football.
That's it.
You might say, "Oh, you're prejudiced." Yeah, you're dead right. I grew up in it. I played in it. But why is that so bad? Why is it so bad? Or you can't say that. Why?
Well, no, you're passionate about the football you love, Yeah,
he's a good manager. Yeah. So,
got some more questions here for you, Gordon.
Yep.
This one's from my father-in-law, John Barry. So I don't know if John, if you're listening here, but he used to go back in the 70s as well. So he asked the question: "Is who would you say was the better goalkeeper, Stepney or Brian King?"
Well, Brian didn't reach what I thought could be what he did, but he had the potential. And I'll be honest with you, for instance, Alex, you knew what you got. He'd pull stuff out, and Alex was a steady Eddie. He would give you a solid performance time and time again, and he was a goalkeeper. And don't forget, he came from us.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, like, he went. Was it Chelsea then, Man United?
Do you guys know?
I think he was
Alex
Stepney,
Stepney,
didn't he?
Did he come straight to Man U?
I think he did, because he played in the European Cup final in '67.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I was just wondering. That's all. But
I think
anyway, Alex was a good. I played with Alex. I tell you,
Nick will know.
You couldn't have been more confident of a keeper behind you.
Yeah.
I tell you what, he couldn't. And I tell you, without the fancy gloves, without the freaking kit that's all been padded and everything else.
It's true. Just bare hands, wouldn't they? Yeah.
And bare hands. And I tell you what, like, hey, where would Alex always like to play in 5-a-sides? Up the front, because he wanted to score goals. Bless his heart. When we say, Alex, get that.
Get in goal.
Well, my father-in-law John, he said he would have picked Brian King. That was his favourite.
Brian King would have been a good replacement.
Yeah.
But you can't. If you say, Alex and Brian at the same era, same time, then that would make you start thinking. But yeah, Brian definitely would have been shall we, successor to Alex.
Yeah.
Because we did have Paddy Roach, and Paddy didn't turn out to be more shall we say, didn't turn out, and it was just one of those things.
Didn't you say that Brian King had a knee injury? You said, Gordon.
He got it at Coventry because when I played Coventry, I had dinner with him, and I used to go out, and we'd sat there, and I knew that he had an injury, and I think the injury really curtailed his career, which was sad, because both of us, we talked about it, and like a fly on the wall, what we said we can't repeat, but it was the same type of conclusion to an injury that a pro would go through, and how he has to try to get back.
Yeah. I mean,
to form. I didn't want anything else, just to get off that bench, off the medical bed, get off that medical bed and go out and perform. I'd look at players now. I'd look at players even when I was injured and I'd say to them, "You're lucky I'm not fit. I would have loved to have gone out with you today," because it's confidence one-on-one as much as a team. A one-on-one player can beat all the time. Yeah, makes the rest of the team.
Yeah, very true.
Gives them inspiration. Yeah.
Another question here for you is: how much did Millwall support help at home? Did you often feel that you were 1-0 up before the game even started?
Yes.
Sometime?
Yeah, that's the same feeling as you get at United. Same feeling. Millwall could drag you back. They would, if they knew, they sensed it when you was down. They sensed it, and that's when their moral came into play, and their vocal came into play as well. No, I remember at playing against the Luton and Millwall, and Luton supporters tried to take the Coldblow Lane end, which was the worst thing.
Sorry, what did you say?
The worst thing you tried to do is take the Coldblow Lane end.
Yeah,
you don't. You have no chance. And I was on the field. I was standing on the left wing, right by the board at the dugouts and everything else. And all of a sudden, I see the freaking horses come on, and the horses are coming on, and the Luton supporters are trying to come to the gut. And all of a sudden, right, these Luton supporters turned tail and started legging it as the Mill supporters, and I shouldn't be shouting about it, but it's a memory. And they jumped over from the Coldblow Lane end, and they chased it, and the horses on the police were going up there like that. And one of them ran past with a chair or something like that, and he said, "Don't worry, Gordy, we'll get that." And I went. Referee stopped the game. They went back, but it wasn't. Everybody knew it was
brilliant.
You did, and basically the game started again. The horses, got off the field. They brought the freaking police horses on the field.
Unbelievable.
It was like
which is unbelievable.
And I was just looking.
The next question, next question my father-in-law had for you, funny enough, was how was back in the 70s, Millwall fans were quite boisterous. Did you ever see any trouble from the fans with your own eyes while you're playing in a game? So I guess that was it. That
answered the question. Well, funny enough, there was the group called the F Troop.
That's right.
That everybody were talking about. Well, the funny thing about it, I knew most of them because they used to come to the reserve games when I used to stay behind after training, and I'd go to it, and I'd come back from training, and we used to train at Peak Freen, and we used to get a lift back to the ground because there was a game before we got on the train home, And I used to say, and of course, there was a lot of them that used to come at midday because they wanted to watch the game. There's only about half a dozen of them, and they'd say, "Gordon, can you get us in?" They say, "Yeah, come on." And they'd say, "Can't come out." Say, "No, they're with me." "All right, Gordon. Okay, you look after them." "Yeah, I'll make sure." And they used to come in and watch the reserve game, so you got to know them. Mad Bob Dog, and people like that, and you get to know them, and it was they were so much into the Millwall way that they were the Millwall way, and you used to talk to them, and they were just like us talking, and all of a sudden, like there would be a red rag to a bull if you mentioned Millwall, and you're going to have a crack at them, and it was like whoa, and it was like, everybody, even United supporters I spoke to and said, "Oh, they're mad. We don't want to know any of them." And then it was like they had their own little schedule. They had their own little schedule and what they went to. And these were bankers as well. And it was
unbelievable.
It was like
it's that release on the weekends, I guess, wasn't it?
It is.
The weekends
it
are
was.
released.
They sat there, they watched the game, and all of a sudden you think, Christ, they wanted to take somebody's head off Saturday. Now they just want to sit there and watch it. And then on a Monday, they want to bank them up.
Back on the bank.
But it was great because you got invited. To parties, which I didn't go to because, as I said, I was too far away from home anyway. I had to get home and everything, but you had to get to know them. You couldn't. Even now, and even they're grown up. Bless their hearts. They mean well. They want to do well for their club, and which is commendable. They want us to do well, and I want them to do well. I love it. I think it's great. People say, "Oh, do you play for Millwall?" Whoa, they're a rough lot. Yes, they are. But if you don't upset them, they won't upset you.
That's it. Exactly.
It's like anywhere. It's like
Absolutely.
anywhere you go. And Liverpool supporters and United supporters are the same.
Yeah, that's right.
That's life and death. Them.
Yeah.
So every club's got it, but it all depends how they're portrayed.
Sorry. Yeah. Another question here. Sorry, who was the best player you ever played with at Millwall?
I think there are so many good players. I couldn't name one really because everybody chipped in. Everybody did chip in, and everybody gave, and everybody, and you'd get the young players that you'd always talk to because I was a young player. They'd talk to you, and then you get the older players, that would, I like playing with Kitch because he could also see the other side of the game as well. Even though you was a whippersnapper and he'd just say, hey, go, just settle it a bit. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So you had your gentlemen, and then you had your younger generation.
What about technically? I mean, you're by far probably the best player technically. But other than you, who would you admire for technical ability in that team? Who you say was next?
I think you got to look at the older players because technically they'd already learnt it and they were doing it. I think you had Stevie Brown, who was a winger. You had Dougie Alder as well. There was another player that I liked quite a lot. Came from Robin Wainwright.
Do you remember those guys?
No, I don't. Jeff?
He had long hair. Robin.
It's a bell, but I couldn't remember playing.
But he was nice. He wanted to be technical and everything else. And you basically there at Millwall, you had a very good basics. Very good basics, and players could be really basic players. Yeah, and I think that's what made the camaraderie nice. They were all together. We were all together, so to speak. Yeah. Houston at United, Stewie Houston they say, give it to Hilly, let him do the damage. Yeah. But Millwall, they shared it. They shared it.
Mill Holdings just commented on this. He said Wainwright came from Luton. He said
correct. That's
Yeah,
it. Robin
that's it.
Wainwright. Yeah, big,
Yeah.
very. They were great. They were great. I mean, they were great. Very nice people to talk to. Very nice people to play with.
Yeah.
Wanted to go up, and that was the camaraderie that all the club had given everybody.
Yeah.
But you was a bit of a character as well, Gordon, weren't you? You was always the one making everybody. Did you used to do a few impressions? Does that?
I did. I did.
Oh, was it a George? No, it was a Norman Wisdom impression.
Was it Norman? Did you do
John Wayne?
John Wayne. Go on, you got to give it us now. Come on, Gordon. You got to give us some.
Let me see what I can do. If I can, I see if I got. My favourite was Bruce Forsyth. Good game, Happy. Good game.
Brilliant.
Look at the old scoreboard.
Brilliant.
It was okay, Kincaid. Let's get the hell out of here. Mr. Grimsdale.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one.
So you do that. You do that because you'd always that was a great way of being able to break the tension.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, you go in and say, "Excuse me, Mr. Grimsdale."
That is spot on.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. I know I've seen you do that.
When you put a cap on as well. When you
and the cap as well, you can imagine it, couldn't you?
And you drop the jacket across your shoulder. Basically, it was the bottom. It was the body movement.
Brilliant.
But it was fun, and I did it at Millwall. I did it.
One of the guys here, Alex says, Joe, did you tell Gordon that you scored at the Den? This is very true.
I've got to go now.
And I can't let you go without seeing. I've done a charity game at Millwall, and I scored a goal. I don't know if it's still here. Actually, it might be still here. I just want to get your thoughts. So I played up front. What do you think about my finishing? Okay, here we go. And someone just comments on there, you're fucking shameless.
Correct,
Joe.
Andy Roberts. Alex S is banned for even mentioning it. Disgraceful.
It was quite hilarious, actually, because the guy that passed it looked as though he was going to fall over, and the goal scorer did fall over.
Yeah,
it was hilarious. I tell you what, at the end of the day, boys, it's a goal. It doesn't matter whether it doesn't matter whether it hits your ass. It doesn't. At the end of the day, and we talk about it all day today. It's a results game, and I tell you what, if they won, that was great. If they lost the game, I tell you what, don't give up your day job.
No, exactly. For me to score at the Den, that's it. I can die happy now.
I tell you what. Hey, tell you what, Joe. What size boots was you wearing?
12.
I was going to say, because you've been wearing a 10, you would have pulled every muscle in your body. And that was brilliant. But that was, I tell you what, that was great. And the goalkeeper took about an hour to get down.
He's brutal, but he's honest. He's honest.
I tell you, hey Joe, that was great. I tell you what, the Titanic went down quicker.
You should have got that manager's job, Gordon.
I tell you what, I know. Listen, I was disappointed that I never even got, got even an interview. I never even got spoke. But it all depends on who's around at that time, I mean, basically they say, "Oh yeah," but hold on a second. Like, I've been a pro coach for 30 odd years now.
Yeah,
maybe not. And it's only this year that I retake my license and renew it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to do it, but what got me most of all, I think, was when I was doing the license. They said you have to look at this video, and you have to look at maybe 15 hours of videos. And I tell you, my eyes were freaking sore, because I tell you what, I'd already done most of what they were talking about doing on the video. But the new one that came up, the new one that came up, which fascinated me, was the new rule that they made, or the new thing that the coaches had to have. Well, this would be hilarious for you guys, because it was for me. And I'm watching it, and this lady comes on. She said, half an hour, and this is what the coaches. And I went, oh right, what's the title? Colour blindness. What? Colour blindness? Are you for real? And I went, and I listened to this, and I went, well, I tell you what, I've got America's full of it. I says, because all the players here are colourblind, because they keep passing the ball to the opposition. I said, so no wonder they want to push this badge. Colourblind. Why is that? Well, the yellow looks like a green, and the green. I said, well, have you told half the goalkeepers back home what that is? I said, because they keep throwing the ball to them. So that is a colour blindness.
Unbelievable.
Well, that's got to be a special. That's got to be a cracker. Can you imagine down at the Den?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Like, are you colourblind? Yes, I just took the license.
Gordon, I'm conscious of your time. Apology, but just very quick, where you mentioned it, did you know John Burleson? Did you, with him being over in America?
I didn't know him. I didn't know. I spoke to him because I was over here. I didn't know him. You know, bless his heart. But I spoke to him one or two times, and I'd have loved to. My God, you know, I'd love to have.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
I'd have loved to have, because I say most of the time you have to have the Millwall mentality.
Yeah. Yes.
And that just isn't playing. That is knowing what the club is all about.
Correct.
That is
you know, because I would have taken no risks.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's
And
interesting.
you know, and I think it was around the Kenny Jacket time as well, which was
like his ass.
Alex was asking, did he get the job then? Was it Kenny that got the job when you after you
I think
applied?
something like that. You know, I know Kenny come from Watford, but me, I would have had no problem whatsoever, and I knew what players I was looking at to get.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Phil Holder just asking here, record Gordon being one of the best volleyers of the ball. Did he practice much? Did you practice a lot of volleys?
Yes, all the time. Ray Wilkins turned around and said that he's the best volleyer in the world. Ball came over, and I didn't let it hit. I practiced it when I was a kid as well.
Yeah,
but it would come over, and I had an eye ball coordination, which was, you know, and then basically what I did is just say, when it came over, why let it hit the ground? I just hit it first time, and then practiced it. I used to do that in the England games, training sessions with the England squad. Ray Wilkins used to just whip the ball across, and against Shilton and Clements, I just used to smash them in, you know. And I used to say, and Ray used to say to me, "How did you do that?" I said, "I can't tell you, Ray."
Yeah. It comes natural.
It's true. You can't
could
explain that.
But if it does, even now, you know, even now.
What a player Ray Wilkins was. We had we've done interviews with Paul Eiffel and Ronnie Ball and a couple of players from the early 2000 era where Dennis Wise was manager, and then Ray Wilkins came in as like a coach or assistant manager. And they were saying that they used to use Ray Wilkins in the training, and he's been the one delivering the balls. And, and Dennis Wise will be saying, "Ray, give me a left-footed back post," and he'll go, "All right."
That's it.
And he'll do.
That's
and
it.
he's doing all the balls for them to header and score, like
do it all himself.
And they used to play little 5v5 games apparently. And these young lads are like 19, 20, 21 years of age. And Ray Wilkins, I don't know how old he was at the time, but apparently he was the best player in the training.
Yeah,
at whatever age he was. Incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, I still play at 71. I'm still running
Wow.
around. I still,
Amazing.
I basically try to keep it as simple as I possibly can. But then
Yeah.
they said, and I had a parent the other night said to me, Gordon, you pass exquisitely. I said, I just see where that pass is going and go. I
Yeah.
said, what it is, it's lovely because what happens is you teach by showing.
Yeah.
They see the ball come over and they play a ball out the air from about 50 yards and I'll kill it stone dead and walk away from it. And they just look and go.
At your age, incredible. Did you have to adapt your game a little bit when you after the knee injury and you sort of lost that bit of mobility and that pace? Did you then have to focus a bit more on your touch, on your passing, on your vision because you had to let the ball do the work for you more? Do you feel? Maybe?
Yeah, you have to adjust it because your knee, you've got to, even now with this knee, you've got a foreign part inside your knee that's not yours. So your knee is always having goes at your calves and your quads to work together. And so I've got it down now where I've got it all teed up and done and everything else. And it's
titanium, you were saying, isn't it? Your knee?
It's a titanium knee, yeah. It's a 10, 15, I think it's a 20-year knee, which is great. And I had it done about 4 years ago by the Green Bay Packer surgeon.
Wow.
Who done it for me. And afterwards he said to me, but don't do any 20-mile marathons. I said, I've never done them in my life any road. So it's ridiculous.
So when you're about 80, when you're about 87, 88, you got to change it.
That'll be the only thing left.
Amazing. Amazing.
It's great now, but I had 35 years of it actually getting more arthritic. And what happens is your body is like on a scale. If you hold your body up, it would all match.
Yeah.
But when you've got a knee or something or back or something, it's not straight and it's out of tilt, it throws everything else.
It must affect your back and everything, your spine, because everything's all
spine goes. One muscle reacts against the other muscle, which doesn't. It always has done. One pulls, one loosens. One tightens, one loosens. And so I've had to relearn all that in the last 4 years, which I've done. So that's why I keep fit. That's why I try to stay mobile.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I try. I keep getting calls. Where's your boots? I don't know where they are.
We need you at the moment.
They're in the
score some bloody
garage.
Yeah.
We're not scoring enough goals, Gordon. We need you out there, mate. Honestly, we need you to get some goals.
I'd love to.
And Gordon, with your coaching, the kids, did you want to borrow that video of Joe that you could share?
Yeah.
I tell you what, I could put that. I tell you what, Joe, if I've got an hour to show them.
Unfortunately, 9-year-olds don't have that retention span.
No. I tell you what,
they won't believe it.
I'm going to keep that, Joe, as a
my
memory.
Pleasure. I'll send it to you.
I tell you what, I could see the man on the side going like that.
Brilliant.
Hey, but Joe, at the end of the day, mate, a goal is a goal. It's a result that counts.
Yeah,
that's it. Exactly. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Before you go, we're going to wrap things up now. We've got a lot of wingers at Den at Millwall. We've got Ida and Marku. We've got a new player called Ballo. We've got on loan at the moment. We've got Camille Negley. Who am I missing, guys? Aziz.
Femi Aziz coming back from injury. Doherty could probably go on the wing, couldn't he?
Doherty.
When he's back.
The question I want to ask you is what do you make of the modern wide players of today versus the 70s wingers of your era? I mean, obviously different rules with, as you said, they were less protected back in those days, pitches, refs and all that. But what would make a difference between our wingers today compared to how you played in your day?
The wingers today have really
they're not wingers, are they? They're not wingers.
They're not wingers. They're basically midfielders that have been playing out there or going forward. They're taught to come back all the time.
Yeah.
You know, they turn so much. You know, you see a good winger will, you know, have a go at you all the time, win or lose. And it's percentage. He only needs a 1% to get through to be able to create something for a set. It's not worth you going to the byline, keep cutting back all the time, because the centre forward doesn't know what's happening, and you're not giving them much chance. But if you get to the byline, and as we say, whip it in. If you whip it in nice and strong, if you whip it in, the forwards go into the goal, defenders are coming. The forwards are going towards the goal. Defenders are running towards their own goal. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
But if
Not
you
goals
know,
happen,
we
don't
used
they,
to have Alfie Wood and Brian Clark. Two of them would battle till the cows come home.
Yeah.
You know,
great in the air as well, weren't they?
Great in the air, and they've come. I've gone on a train with Brian going home from Waterloo, and the lady said to Brian, because he played, and he got smacked on the nose, and the lady said to him, "Oh, are you a boxer?" Clarkey was a gentleman, was very upset. You know,
he looked kind of rough and rugged, didn't he?
Yes, broken nose where he's been up, and there's all this. But that was part. I mean, that's what he did for Cardiff. That's what he did for us at Millwall. Alfie Wood's exactly the same. Unfortunately, now we've lost Brian, and Woodsy's suffering from, you know, another illness.
Did Alf Woods pass away? I read somewhere.
I think he might have. I don't quote me on that, because, as I said, bless his heart if he has. But
I think he has. I remember reading a while ago. I hope I'm not wrong saying this. I think he might have passed away
right.
with dementia. I think he was struggling with dementia as well.
I mean, that's what,
I do wonder. I do wonder.
You know, both of them were centre forwards. That, as a winger, you go down. You put what I said it in a podcast a couple of weeks ago. As a winger, I go down and create. I put balls into space for the forwards to get onto it. When you become a top class winger, and I mean a top class winger, you can pick out that player.
Yeah.
I'll pick out a centre forward in a heartbeat, and it's what you're going back to with Dennis Wise and Ray Wilkins. I take all free kicks and everything else to show them. Why? Because I want consistency from the forwards. The people I've got taking them may not be able to cross it the same way all the time. I can cross it 9 out of 10 all the time. And I think that's why coaches are used like that. But
absolutely. Andy Roberts just said here, Alfie Wood died in 2020.
Wow.
So he was suffering with dementia. I do wonder, Gordon, a lot of these footballers from your era, especially ones who's headed the ball quite a lot, whether they suffer dementia due to heading the ball quite a bit. Because the balls back in your days were a lot harder, weren't they? The leather.
Mitre multiplex were ones that we used, and they were. If they hit you, you had the mitre stick on your leg or your chest or your thigh. You had it there for ages. You know, after the game, you still see mitre after a shower. So it was powerful.
Yeah.
And of course, the ball would come over and you'd head it. I mean, and that's the sadness about it, is that we've lost so many players from dementia. And I think all players now, former players that have been in that era and later, are always worried. Mickey Lyons is at the moment struggling from dementia. He lives in Australia, and I got a word from him. It's sad because it's, as I said, you don't really feel the full force of this dementia.
No.
You know, and touch wood, I'm keeping away from it.
Yeah, you look great.
Your knowledge is incredible, and you're fit as well. You know, and Mill Holly just said here that his wife, his Alfie Wood's wife, said it was heading the ball that done it. Dementia.
I know. I feel sad about it, because I tell you what, you go get stuck in, get in there, but people don't realise how much damage it possibly can do.
Yeah,
and
lucky you're a winger and not know for your heading, really. You know,
that's exactly. You know, not afraid to head a ball, but you know, like your centre forwards were the ones that were heading it, and your central defenders,
centre halves.
You know,
did you ever score the header, Gordon? Did you ever score a header?
Yeah. It hit me in the head and went in.
A bit like mine. Mine hit me on the foot and it went in, didn't it?
That's exactly right. Yeah, funny enough, my head was on my foot. I look at it, and to be honest with you, I have scored few headers. I'm not afraid to get in and head a ball, but delivering the ball, I've scored more on the floor and in volleys than I have with headers. But I've scored a few with Mill, and I've scored a few with United with headers. But I saw someone sent me a picture of me heading it in a pre-season, which I put in the archives quickly. I put underneath it extinct.
Unbelievable. Gordon, I'm just conscious that we've been going on for almost 3 hours, and I think we can talk to you for another 3 hours quite easily, but I don't want to take any more of your time, and I really do appreciate everything. Everything we do for this channel, so every money we make for this channel, everything we make goes to Cancer Research UK. So the viewers that are listening, the comments and the likes, it all helps with the algorithms. And by you coming on tonight would help our views, and that would put a lot of money donated to charity as well. So
I love it.
Really, love you for that, and I really do appreciate you giving your time so generously, Gordon.
No, really, no problem at all. If I can be of any help, then obviously I did it. I did it a few times for a lot of funds. My granddaughter's got a speech defect, so I'm always gunning for that foundation. Any foundation that is for the children or for a good worthy cause. I done a camp. I came back home to do a camp in Belfast for a kid that had stage 4 brain cancer. I got every club that I knew could donate a shirt. I gave it all to him to raise the money, so that
that's amazing.
And I got a picture the other day of it, and it was touch and go, and I've got a picture of him in my arms with his tubes and everything else. And I got a picture the other day with this 6-year-old getting his first school uniform.
Oh, fabulous!
So and it just said, I tell you what, I'm not worried about myself. Something happens, good. I've had a good life. I've had a great, but I tell you what, the next generation is for me. I'll do anything for them.
That's lovely.
Bless you. That's lovely. And also your biography as well. If anyone wants to buy it, the Gordon Hill autobiography is available, I'm sure, in all good shops and some bad ones as well.
And plus, you'll be happy to know it's colour by numbers.
even for the colour-blind Millwall fans as well. So there you go.
And Gordon, was that iconic celebration anything, or is that just how you always celebrated?
That was it was a celebration of that was Derby were going for everything.
Yeah.
And that was we're here. With counters, and I was happy. I was lucky enough to get that first goal.
Great picture.
And the memories were great, because don't forget, I played when United were in the 2nd division, and then they went up. Then I joined that club.
Yeah.
So I put both, and the highlights for me was Millwall Man United Cup final, Millwall debut. Scoring for Millwall, scoring for Man United. I think the highlights for me are everything I've done. I've tried to go out and say, please, people, please, enjoy it. I'll score it. If I can get it, I'll do it for you. But when it comes to kids, that's it.
God bless you.
I melt.
Brilliant. You can tell.
Anything.
You can tell.
I do it now. I do it now with kids that can't afford it. I get them kit. I'll get them. They can't afford to. I have no problem with that. Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Good on you.
And as I said, I never earned a dime out of football.
Unbelievable.
Not a dime.
Unbelievable.
But I tell you what, hey, I'd never give it up.
You're a good guy. You're a legend, definitely. Jeff,
that's exactly left leg. I'm a
leg.
I'm a legend. All right. I'm a left leg. Yeah, legend.
Jeff, anything you want to say, Jeff, before we say goodbye to Gordon? Don't start crying.
I nearly am, because we've been on 3 hours and it just feels like 3 minutes, and it's just ridiculous when you're talking to someone that you've watched in your early formative years, sitting next to me dad, and me dad saying, this bloke's unbelievable. We're never going to keep hold of him. Oh, cheers, Dad.
That's what the boys said, Jeff. That's
Yeah.
what Brian King. That's what Harry Cripps.
Yeah.
That's what Kitchie said to me. And in the showers, they said we won't be able to keep you long. And I
Yeah,
went,
my dad was,
and that was like, well, I'm happy to be. You know, I'm quite happy here. And so I never, and even though you see, that's what you look at, Jeff, is that. But then you see, I go to United, but then you got Arsenal and Tottenham just down the road. So that's why I say the most important part is scouting. Dave Phillips, scouted me there, and then Jimmy up in Man United scouted me, and then all of a sudden said to the doc, if you don't get him, he'll be gone by tomorrow morning.
Definitely, yeah.
And so I don't live on that. I don't live on that, Jeff, by saying, oh, you got to sell me. I didn't want to be sold. I was quite happy. I'd have played there for years and I'd have scored lots of goals. But
I've ever heard that story where the club never let on that they were forced to sell you, which was probably a bit silly, really, because we was all having a dig at Purser. For you letting it, if we'd have known his hand was forced, we might have felt a bit.
Well,
we might have been a bit more kind to him.
That's what they say. That the story I get was like, well, the bank have told us we got to, whether it was in jest or joke. I don't know, but that's the only thing I knew. I you know, and I said, okay, fine. They said they got to sell you, but you know, in them days, 125 grand was, or 75 grand, 70 grand, whatever it was.
Still a lot of money, a
lot of money, especially when it was like 25, 50 quid. You know, you're still coming out with
even though you're worth a lot more than that. It's still a lot of money back in the day turned down. Like I said, inflation,
the biggest
well over $1 million. Yeah,
absolutely. That's exactly right. And you remember just shortly after that, then when Wolves sold Steve Daly to Man City for $1 million, the first $1 million player, $1 million player. We remember that. But, you know, now £1 million won't buy you a reserve player. It won't even get you a youth team player.
No, exactly. It's true. Yeah,
won't buy you a garage in London either.
I tell you, why didn't get a telephone booth? Will it? Won't get a telephone box.
That's why me and Disco live up north.
I mean, that's why I moved to Seattle, because there's nothing here but Indians. God bless them.
Don't do that John Wayne impression around there, then, for Christ's sake.
Oh my God! I tell you what, funny enough, I've got it on my Twitter. If you go on Twitter, I was doing a camp up in a place called San Juan Islands. And it's an island up there called Friday Island, and they've got a lot of islands just on the coast of Canada, Vancouver. And there's John. I went in the boat. You only get there by boat, ferry, and you can only go from island to island with ferry, right? So I get in a boat, and they said, and the guy that was doing it was a goalkeeper I teach or taught, who's become successful, and he had got a place on the island. So he turns around and he says to me, guess whose that is there? And I went, who's that? He went, that's John Wayne's Island. And it's on my Twitter.
Yeah.
Right? It's John Wayne's Island. And I went past it, and he's like, and I said, bloody hell. I said, it's like a little country. He said to me, yes, he stocked it full of animals so he could go. And I said, what? And I went, really? And you go past it and you think, wow. And it's like, you're going, and it went on for about 1.5 miles. John, and you just go, wow, certainly wasn't in California, was it? So, unbelievable. But it's great though. You know, it's great. I mean, you see these places, you know, it to me, now I look at the game, I go, do I like the game now? I love football, but I don't like the game now.
Very good.
I don't like the game.
Especially watching football from your era. I mean,
especially the higher level, I think. Yeah,
absolutely.
Premiership.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Disco,
Yeah,
anything you want to say to Gordon before we wrap up?
I do. Look, I echo Jeff's thoughts there. Like Jeff, I stood on the terraces with my dad watching Gordon, and as I've already said, at a very young age, made a huge impression on me as a youngster. And look, tonight, having you on, Gordon, has been absolutely fantastic for me personally and these guys.
That's very kind.
Comments,
Thank you.
You won't be seeing all the comments coming in. People are blown away at your humility, your humour, and not realising how special a person you are and was as a player, you know, and it's great. I'm glad
I'm just a working class kid.
That's pretty why.
Pretty special. Pretty special with it as well.
That loved what he was doing.
Yeah. But look, thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. We've been looking forward to it. But this is I've got to show you this. I'll put this on specially for you guys. You get a close look at this.
I can't see with these glasses. Go and read it out, someone. Can someone read it out? Oh, there we go.
Him on he's been suspended. Oh, he's been suspended.
That's what Benny Fenton used to do.
Yeah. Lovely. Yeah. Gordon, obviously, we'll say, but again, as this again, a lot of people in the chat, and John MFC there. It's a great watch, great memories. John MFC contributes every week to our show. He donates £10 every week for charity.
Bless him.
And just recently, he bidded £200 for a signed George Savile shirt, which goes to Cancer Research UK. So he's a massive a part of our family. On Chat with Chaps.
Oh, love it.
I know he remembers you as well when he was a kid watching Millwall in the 70s. He said. So that's John. So John Thorpe, his name is Gordon.
Well, thank you very much, John, and it's great that what you're doing, and you know, may it continue, and best of luck, my friend.
Thanks, Gordon. And again, you can see the comments coming here. Lovely comments from everyone, all saying, you know, great interview, great seeing Gordon. You know, the love coming through here is incredible. Really good.
I mean, wow.
You know, there you go. Gordon, anything you want to say to the Millwall fans before we wrap up and say goodnight to you?
I think that the club is on the right road. The performances I've seen, and I have to go by the TV and what I can get, has been, shall we say, progressive. The games I have actually seen the highlights of, you know, and it was nice to see that the club is in steady flow forward, and it's nice to see the supporters are still. Well, they'll never go. They'll never go. They're phenomenal, you know. Yeah. And I just wish the club and I wish the team all the very best. I wish Alex the best. You know, he's not got an easy job. You know, as I said, you're hired to be fired. But I tell you what, as long as you can put a team out there that gives you 100% effort, I think then you stand a chance, you know. And I think I look at it and it brings warm glows to my heart when I see it. And it's just, and all the memories that I have with the players that I played with and have seen and gone through. And so all I can say is that I wish you the very best in the future.
Thank you, Gordon. And again, just so good to have you with us, mate. You're not a legend. You're not a legend. You are a legend. A lot of fans love you, and they love you for a reason. For the joy you brought to us, fans, old and young, anyway. So, thank you so much. And when you come to England, let us know, and we'll make sure we look after you when you come to Millwall. It'll be
I will. I definitely want to before my days are out. So I will. You know, I will put that on my appointment list. You know, I haven't got a bucket anymore. But no, thank you guys, Jeff. Yeah. Thank you very much, you guys. It's absolutely brilliant, and you know, I wish you all the best. And as I said, let's keep our fingers crossed for tomorrow.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Good game. You're right.
Yes. Thanks, Gordon.
You take care, guys.
All the best.
Okay.
Thanks, Gordon.
Cheers, Gordon.
Take care.
Take
Bye.
care.
Good man.
See you later.
Cheers.
Bye.
Hi, it's Steve Morrison here, and you're listening to Chat with Chaps, chatting Millwall, come rain or shine.